Nepal's PM meets Indian and Chinese ambassadors separately. Talks focus on strengthening bilateral ties, cooperation and mutual interests. Nepal's foreign minister says government to review treaties and agreements as needed, adds Nepal's national interest to be kept at the center. Nepal's finance minister holds talks with representatives of 20 multinational companies, says government must protect legitimate private investment and assets. Community Forest Day being marked today, stress laid on promoting community forest as basic or green economy, employment and local income. Ukrainian drone strike kills 13 in Russia's Tatarstan. Attack comes as Kyiv intensifies strikes on Russia. And NSC names athletes and coaches for upcoming Asian Games. Nepal to compete to host of events including cricket, athletics, volleyball and swimming. Good evening, I am April Singh Lama and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah held separate courtesy meetings with the Indian and Chinese ambassadors to Nepal today with discussions focused on strengthening bilateral ties, development cooperation and areas of mutual interest. During Prime Minister Shah's meeting with Indian Ambassador Navin Srivastava, the duo discussed Nepal-India relations, development cooperation and matters of mutual interest. Prime Minister Shah stressed the need to further deepen the historic ties between the two countries, while Ambassador Srivastava pledged continued efforts to strengthen bilateral cooperation. Later in the meeting with Chinese Ambassador to Nepal, Zhang Maoming, discussions focused on strengthening Nepal-China relations, expanding cooperation in various fields and enhancing development partnership. Prime Minister Shah on the occasion emphasized the need to deepen historical ties and cooperation in areas of common interest, while Ambassador Maoming pledged continued efforts to strengthen bilateral relations and cooperation. Nepal's Foreign Minister Sisir Khanal has said the government will review, amend or renew bilateral and multilateral treaties and agreements as necessary, keeping Nepal's national interest at the center. Speaking in the House of Representatives today, Minister Khanal said such reviews would be carried out in line with international law and diplomatic practice with the consent of concerned parties and international organizations. He said relevant ministries are currently reviewing treaties and agreements under their jurisdiction.
नेपाल सरकार पक्ष रहेको सन्धिको संरक्षण र व्यवस्थापन सम्बन्धमा प्रचलित कानुनको स्पष्ट व्यवस्था छ। नेपाल सन्धि ऐन 2047 बमोजिम परराष्ट्र मन्त्रालयले नेपाल सरकारको तर्फबाट सन्धि वार्ता, कूटनीतिक सम्पर्क र अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय तहमा सन्धि सम्बन्धी कार्यहरू सम्पादन गर्दछ। विगतदेखि नै नेपाल सरकार कार्यविभाजन नियमावली बमोजिम सन्धि सम्झौता तथा तिनको अभिलेख सम्बन्धी कार्य कानुन, न्याय तथा संसदीय मामिला मन्त्रालयको कार्यक्षेत्रभित्र पर्दछन्। त्यस्तै अभिलेख संरक्षण ऐन 2046 बमोजिम राष्ट्रिय महत्त्वका ऐतिहासिक दस्तावेजहरूको दीर्घकालीन संरक्षण र व्यवस्थापनको जिम्मेवारी राष्ट्रिय अभिलेखालयलाई दिएको छ। सोको लागि सम्बन्धित कार्यालयले नेपाल पक्ष भएको कार्यालयसँग सम्बन्धित सन्धि सम्झौताको प्रमाणित प्रति राष्ट्रिय अभिलेखालयमा पठाउने व्यवस्था समेत रहेको छ।
Meanwhile, lawmakers in today's House of Representatives called on the government to clarify Prime Minister's June 14 statement on the Nepal-India border. Opposition MPs protested at the start of the meeting, while several lawmakers raised concerns about border security, disaster damage, fertilizer shortages, road safety, migrant workers, landless people, prison overcrowding and other public issues. MPs also urged the government to provide compensation to disaster-affected farmers, ensure regular cooking gas and fertilizer supplies, and address various social and economic problems. Meanwhile, 3 bills were presented in the House. The Employees Provident Fund 10th Amendment Bill 2083 by Finance Minister Dr. Sonim Wagle, the Reconciliation 2nd Amendment Bill 2083 by Law Minister Sobita Gautam, and the Child Labour Prohibition and Regulation Bill 2083 by Labour Minister Ramji Yadav. The bills aim to update existing laws, speed up justice, and prevent and regulate child labour. Nepal's Finance Minister Dr. Swarnim Wagle has said protecting authorized investment assets and income generated in a valid way is the major responsibility of the government. During discussions with representatives from 20 large taxpayers at the Finance Ministry today, the minister said the government stands with them, urging them to further explore the investment scope, bring about more new products and introduce more new technologies in Nepal. Finance Minister Dr. Wagle also pledged to establish a response desk in the ministry to address concerns raised by the investment communities. He also added the partnership between the government and the private sector needs to be further strengthened, expressing confidence that the coming decade will be marked by greater investment, production, employment and confidence in Nepal. Let's take a short break here. We'll be back with more updates. Nepal's once barren hillsides have been transformed into dense forests through a community forestry program that has become a globally recognized conservation model. But as Community Forestry Day 2026 is observed, experts say the priority now is to turn conservation gains into greater jobs, production and income for local communities. Introduced in 1973, community forestry began in Thokarpa of Sindhupalchok and has since expanded nationwide. Today, 23,088 community forests operate across Nepal alongside thousands of household, collaborative and other forest management groups. Here's a report.
The concept of community-based forest management began in 1973 in Nepal. As a result, hillsides and slopes that were once barren have now been transformed into dense forest areas covering over 46% of the total country. The campaign, which began in the then Thokarpa village panchayat of Sindhupalchok, has now grown into a nationwide movement with 23,088 community forests currently operating across the country. In addition, more than 8,700 leasehold forests, 33 collaborative forests, buffer zone community forests, and forest management groups are also actively involved in forest management. Community forests have contributed not only to biodiversity conservation but also to the livelihoods of local communities. User groups and local residents earn income through the use and sale of firewood, fodder, timber, and non-timber forest products. However, community forests have yet to generate benefits at the expected level compared to private forests. Experts suggest that community forests should no longer be limited to conservation alone, but should also be linked with sustainable forest product production and processing, job creation, and local enterprises. Despite the success, community forestry activists say they are now facing new challenges and problems. A large proportion of Nepal's population is still directly involved in various forms of forest management. Experts say that if Nepal's forests are managed more effectively, the sector could contribute 5 to 10% of the country's gross domestic product, benefiting not only the general public but the national economy as a whole. For this to happen, experts say technical and administrative procedures must be simplified, while effective coordination among the federal, provincial, and local governments must be maintained.
Moving on, Susta, a border settlement in West Nawalparasi, is facing intensified erosion from the Narayani River as monsoon waters rise. Residents have been working around the clock to build a temporary embankment using soil-filled sacks to protect homes and farmland along vulnerable sections. The river has been eroding the area for years, with the threat worsening during the monsoon. Susta lies along the Narayani River, which forms part of the Nepal-India boundary. The federal government earlier allocated more than 110 million Nepali rupees for permanent flood protection in the area. While one section has been completed, work on another critical stretch remains stalled following objections from the Indian side. The unfinished section is now facing severe erosion. Security personnel and government agencies have joined residents in reinforcing the temporary barrier, but continued river rise could further threaten homes and land. In other news, most women far western Nepal's Doti have been making a living by crushing stones into gravel on riverbanks due to the difficulty of finding suitable jobs in their villages. Nearly 9 years after Nepal introduced local governments across the country with the promise of bringing state services and development closer to communities, residents say the benefits of local governance have yet to reach many poor and marginalized households. Local women say elected representatives make employment and development communities during election campaigns, but rarely return to address the community's long-standing problems. Although local governments have implemented job creation and skills training programs, residents say the initiatives have failed to benefit the poorest families, leaving many women dependent on manual labor for their livelihoods. Now, a large number of devotees have gathered at Pashupatinath Temple in Kathmandu today to mark the final Monday of Shravan, braving inclement weather to offer prayers and worship. All 4 doors of the temple were opened at 3 a.m. to manage the heavy flow of pilgrims. According to Pashupati Area Development Trust, special arrangements were made to ensure smooth and orderly worship, while devotees also brought water from Sundari Jal for offerings. The trust, temple security personnel and various police units were deployed to manage crowds and traffic with heightened attention in key areas including Gaushala and Chahba Hill. The trust said an organized queue system helped minimize waiting times despite the large turnout. Similar crowds are also witnessed at Shiva shrines across the country, with devotees gathering in large numbers to offer prayers and perform rituals marking the final Monday of Shravan. Time again for a short breather. We shall see you at the other side with international updates. At least 13 people have been killed in a Ukrainian drone strike on the Russian Republic of Tatarstan, officials have said. One child was among the victims, with 75 more people injured, Russian authorities said, in one of the deadliest single attacks on Russia since the start of Moscow's full-scale war in Ukraine. Kyiv has not yet commented on the strike on the city of Nizhny-Kamsk, which is more than 1,100 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Ukraine's armed forces confirmed Nizhny-Kamsk Deniva oil refinery had been hit, while Ukrainian defense technology manufacturer Firepoint said its FP-1 drones had been used in the attack. The strike reportedly lasted several hours overnight and into the morning. Kyiv has recently stepped up its strikes on facilities it says contribute revenue and logistics to Russia's war on Ukraine. Moving on, Iran has appointed former Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commander Mohsen Rajaei as head of the country's top national security body, state television has reported. Rajaei, a senior figure in Iran's security establishment, will lead the Supreme National Security Council, which advises the country's leadership on major security and foreign policy issues. His appointment comes as Iran faces heightened regional security challenges and tensions with Western powers. Meanwhile, Iran's deputy parliament speaker has claimed the United States has practically realized that the opening of the Strait of Hormuz has no military solution. In other news, police in India have fired tear gas shells on protesters demanding reforms to recruitment exams in the eastern state of Jharkhand. Thousands of students, job seekers and volunteers have been trying to reach the state's assembly in the capital city of Ranchi to register their protest. The protesters have been demonstrating for over 2 weeks now, demanding an overhaul of Jharkhand's government exam system. On Monday, many attempted to breach police barricades, causing police to use water cannons, batons and tear gas to try and disperse crowds. Police said most protesters had been peaceful, but accused a smaller group of breaking through barricades and throwing stones at officers. It is reported 3 policemen had been injured. Now, Chinese authorities have evacuated more than 1 million people from their homes in eastern China, including the financial capital Shanghai, as Typhoon Dolphin made landfall. The typhoon brought heavy rain and halted transportation across the region. Nearly 1,000 flights were cancelled in Shanghai alone on Monday, while authorities have downgraded Dolphin to a tropical storm. They continue to warn of torrential rains, severe flooding and the risk of landslides through to Wednesday as the storm moves north. Chinese authorities had earlier issued their highest level red alert for Dolphin, which is the strongest storm to hit China this year. Now, a former Thai MP allegedly shot dead a local official in the southern province of Nonthaburi, then dialed into a YouTube live stream to inform the host, a political pundit, of what he had done. Former Nonthaburi MP Chalang Rio told the shocked host that he had shot Tongchai Yen Prasad, a former police official, outside the deceased's office. Tongchai, who was hit in the neck, died in hospital. His driver was shot in the arm and hand. Monday's shooting came 3 days after a 14-year-old boy shot dead 8 people at his home and school, then killed himself in Thailand's worst mass shooting since 2022. The latest shooting will further spur debate about gun control in Thailand, which has the highest rate of gun ownership in Southeast Asia by a wide margin. Let's take another short breather here. We will be back with more international and sports updates. The world's oceans hit their hottest ever recorded temperatures for July, partly fueled by the developing El Niño conditions in the Pacific, according to the EU's Climate Monitoring Service. The average sea surface temperature, SST, outside the world's polar regions between 60 degrees north and 60 degrees south was 20.96 degrees Celsius last month, beating the previous high of 20.89 degrees Celsius set in 2023. Last month was the joint second warmest July globally on record, with temperatures 1.47 degrees Celsius above the estimated pre-industrial average, according to the Copernicus Climate Change Service. Meanwhile, Western Europe experienced its hottest ever June and July, with prolonged hot and dry conditions fueling extreme wildfires across the region. As the world is marking the World Lion Day today, India celebrates a major conservation success as Gujarat's Asiatic lion population reaches 891 in 2025. It marks a 32% rise since 2020 and more than 70% growth over the last decade. The population has increased from 411 lions in 2010 to 891 in 2025, according to the latest estimate. The number of adult females has also risen from 260 in 2020 to 330 in 2025. Lions are expanding beyond the forests, river corridors and other habitats across Gujarat of India. In other news, about 40 babies aged 6 months to 2.5 years have taken part in a crying sumo contest in Fukushima Prefecture, northeastern Japan. People gathered for the contest in Date City on Sunday. The event is held to pray for the healthy growth of children. The babies were given ring names derived from their real names. Adults carried them into the ring for a face-off after their ring names were announced. A few participants began crying as soon as they were lifted up. Some shouted for their mothers, kicked their legs and moved their arms about. There were also babies who only looked around with wonder and never cried, even after scary-looking masks were brought near them. Time now for sports update. Nepal's National Sports Council has announced a delegation of athletes, coaches and officials for upcoming 20th Asian Games, with participating representing the country in more than 20 sports disciplines. The delegation includes athletes in archery, athletics, badminton, boxing, breakdancing, cricket, cycling, golf, judo, kabaddi, karate, rafting and canoeing, skating, soft tennis, squash, swimming, table tennis, taekwondo, tennis, volleyball, wrestling and wushu. Nepal has also selected teams for both men's and women's kabaddi, while women's volleyball features 12 players. Individuals athletes have been named in athletics, boxing, judo, karate, swimming, wrestling and other disciplines. Several coaches and assistant coaches have also been included in the delegation to support the athletes across the different sports. The 20th Asian Games are scheduled to begin on September 19 in Japan. Now, a local football academy in cooperation with the Amputee Football Federation held a training session for children who lost limbs during the war in Gaza. The session was held on the academy's grass field and was open to both boys and girls. Organizers said the initiative aims to support children with amputations through sports and help them regain confidence. The program also seeks to promote social inclusion and help injured children reintegrate into the community. The training is part of efforts to provide sports opportunities for children living with war-related disabilities. Moving on, hundreds of kayakers gathered in Copenhagen Harbour on the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples in a show of support for Greenland and its people. The kayak parade was organized by an association representing Greenlanders in Denmark in cooperation with Action Aid Denmark. Organizers said the event was intended to highlight Greenlandic identity, unity and pride. The association's chair said the parade was a strong way to demonstrate that Greenlanders are proud of who they are and remain united. The event brought together participants in traditional style kayaks as they paddled through the harbour. Now, before wrapping up, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nepal's PM meets Indian and Chinese ambassadors separately. Talks focus on strengthening bilateral ties, cooperation and mutual interests. Nepal's foreign minister says government to review treaties and agreements as needed, adds Nepal's national interests to be kept at the centre. Nepal's finance minister holds talks with representatives of 20 multinational companies, says government must protect legitimate private investment and assets. Community Forest Day being marked today, stress laid on promoting community forest as basic of green economy, employment and local income generation. Ukrainian drone strike kills 13 in Russia's Tatarstan. Attack comes as Kyiv intensifies strikes on Russian facilities linked to war revenue. And NSC names athletes and coaches for upcoming Asian Games. Nepal to compete in 22 sports events including cricket, athletics and swimming. That's all for the moment. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries.
Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Intermittent playing hide and seek with the folk, enchanting one's heart with the sight of fully bloomed rhododendrons, and rejoicing in the lap of nature with the chirping of the birds. When you set foot in Sandakpur, you experience a wonderful feeling of heavenly bliss right here on earth. Due to the ever-changing weather and the snow-white mountains visible right in front of your eyes, Sandakpur constantly draws everyone's heart towards it. As a habitat for numerous species of birds and endangered wildlife, Sandakpur always leaves an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of all. Situated at an altitude of 3,636 meters above the sea level, Sandakpur is located at Ward 2 and 4 of Sandakpur Rural Municipality in Nepal's eastern Ilam district. Embracing the mountains of Nepal, India and Bhutan, Sandakpur is the only place in South Asia where one can observe the Himalayas of all three countries. While enjoying the Himalayan settlements, one can observe the sunrise and sunset from Sandakpur. It is the only place in Nepal from where over 60 mountain peaks, including the Mount Everest, Kanchenjunga, Makalu, Pathivara and Kumbhakarna, can be seen from one spot. Being the source of the holy Mai River, one of the 4 major rivers in Ilam, Sandakpur is also revered from a religious standpoint, attracting pilgrims from Sandakpur Ridge. The settlements of Ilam, Jhapa and West Bengal of India seem so close that it feels like you could hold them in the palm of your hand. The crimson glow of the sun rising from the Bay of Bengal in the morning, glittering upon the mountains. The joy of witnessing this form to such a height is majestic. That is why in winter for the snow and during the monsoon for the rain, the number of visitors from both home and abroad to Sandakpur is on the rise. Among the different species of rhododendrons found in Nepal, 36 can be spotted just along the Sandakpur trek. The rhododendrons blooming all over the forest captivate every heart. With the chirping of birds, the cliffside honeybees, and the opportunity to study endangered species like the red panda, vultures, while enjoying nature, Sandakpur journey has captivated trekkers from around the world. Every year, more than 150,000 tourists from India, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Europe visit Sandakpur. Known as the Bird's Eye Place, Sandakpur was declared a one province, one cultural village by Nepal government in 2018. However, the place still awaits infrastructures like drinking water, electricity and proper trekking trails. Sandakpur can be reached after a 42-kilometer ride from the Ilam headquarters via Mai Pokhari and Kalu Pokhari. Another route to Sandakpur is from Ilam Bazar via Biblate, Sulubung, Mabu and Kalu Pokhari. When trekking to Sandakpur, the highest point of the Mahabharata range, the joy of staying in the homestays and hotels along the way while savoring local cuisine is immeasurable. While forging a connection with the Himalayan settlements, enjoying herbs and local produce, and playing in the snow in winter and the rain during the monsoon, you must visit Sandakpur at least once in your life.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. I'm Bhavna Casey, and in this edition, we bring you the week's top headlines from escalating geopolitical tensions, major diplomatic developments, climate concerns, breakthroughs in science and technology, cultural celebrations, and inspiring stories of human resilience. We have all that you need. We begin in the Middle East, where the Strait of Hormuz remains at the center of a growing crisis. U.S. President Donald Trump says the Iran war could end soon as Washington, Tehran, and Oman move toward a temporary Strait of Hormuz deal despite stalled diplomacy and tightened security across Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump says he expects the conflict with Iran to end pretty soon, arguing that Tehran cannot sustain the war for much longer. His remarks come as the United States, Iran, and Oman move closer to a temporary agreement to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, through which about one-fifth of the world's well passes. The proposed deal aims to restore commercial navigation and reduce the risk of further military escalation in the Gulf. The diplomatic push comes amid intensified regional engagement with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on a three-day official visit to Saudi Arabia to discuss regional security, trade, and broader strategic cooperation. The flurry of diplomatic activity refers growing efforts by regional and international powers to contain tensions, secure key energy routes, and prevent the conflict from expanding across the Middle East. In more from the region, at least 30 Yemeni government troops have reportedly been killed in Houthi rebels' attacks on military camps in central Yemen. The Houthis, who control much of northwestern Yemen and are backed by Iran, said they had targeted large Saudi military build-ups preparing for an offensive. A Saudi-led coalition has supported the government during the civil war. Turning to the United States, President Donald Trump has signed new executive orders targeting birth tourism and further restricting birthright citizenship, reviving a policy previously rejected by the U.S. Supreme Court. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed two new executive orders aimed at restricting birthright citizenship, renewing his push to curb the constitutional right weeks after the Supreme Court rejected an earlier attempt. Announcing the measures at the White House, Trump said the administration was acting to address what it sees as abuse of country's immigration system, while critics argue the orders are likely to face immediate legal challenges over the constitutional guarantee of birthright citizenship.
What's happening now, people are building businesses around it, from wealthy people are building businesses around birthright citizenship. That's not the way it's supposed to work. It's a disgrace. They're buying their way in. And we're not going to let it happen. So,
one order expands the categories of non-citizens, with children would be ineligible for automatic U.S. citizenship, including certain foreign government employees, members of designated terrorist groups, and individuals accused of immigration fraud. The second order targets so-called birth tourism by seeking to prevent foreign nationals from traveling to the United States to give birth solely to secure U.S. citizenship for their children. A legal battle brought the case to the Supreme Court, which in June ruled that Trump's 2025 policies could not stand and birthright citizenship remains the law. The decision was a major blow to Trump's ongoing efforts to limit who can live, work, and become citizens in the U.S. In a tragic blow, a deadly avalanche on Pakistan's Broad Peak has claimed the lives of renowned climber Nirmal Purza and 5 Nepali climbers, leaving the nation in mourning. A deadly avalanche on Pakistan's Broad Peak has claimed the lives of renowned mountaineer Nirmal Purza, popularly known as Nimstai, and 5 Nepali climbers, as the Nepal government described the tragedy as a loss to the nation's mountaineering community. The avalanche struck on July the 30th as the 10-member expedition was ascending from Camp 2nd to Camp 3rd. Those confirmed dead are Pur Bahadur Gurung, Kilipemba Sherpa, Nima Sherpa, Nawang Thindu Sherpa, and Gyalu Sherpa. Rescuers retrieved Purza's body after days of difficult evacuation mission hampered by extreme weather. The body of Pur Bahadur Gurung, recovered days after the avalanche, arrived at Kathmandu's Tribhuvan International Airport on Thursday, where grieving relatives and well-wishers gathered to receive him. 3 climbers remain missing, while Purza's company has confirmed there are no survivors. The Nepal government has extended its deepest condolences to the bereaved families and paid tribute to the climbers, calling the incident a profound loss for the nation's mountaineering sector. Climate concerns continue to grow as the United Nations warns a strengthening El Nino is intensifying climate change impacts, increasing the risk of extreme weather worldwide. A strengthening El Niño weather pattern could reach record levels and intensify the impacts of climate change, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned. Guterres said the phenomenon is adding further pressure to a planet already facing rising temperatures and extreme weather events.
2 months ago, I warned that El Niño was arriving on our doorstep. Now it is inside the house and turning up the heat. We have already endured the summer of extremes, record-shattering heat domes, apocalyptic wildfires raging in Spain, France, and far beyond. Thousands of lives lost in the scorching conditions.
Speaking to the UN, Guterres said El Niño had moved from an approaching threat to an active global climate challenge, increasing the risk of heat waves, droughts, floods, and other climate-related disasters.
Global sea surface temperatures with records in June and July. But according to the latest science, this is only a warm-up act. New forecasts released today by the World Meteorological Organization provide a stark picture of the period from August through October. El Niño is strengthening, adding fuel to a planet already on fire.
Climate experts are closely monitoring the development of the weather pattern, which can influence global temperatures and weather conditions. The UN chief urged countries to accelerate climate action and strengthen measures to address the growing impacts of global warming. These warnings are already being reflected on the ground. Deadly wildfires fueled by extreme heat and drought have swept across Europe, North America, and parts of Asia, prompting renewed climate concerns. The month of July showed devastating wildfires across several regions of the world, with extreme heat, dry conditions, and strong winds fueling large-scale blazes that forced evacuations, damaged communities, and threatened ecosystems. In Europe, wildfires spread across the areas of Spain, Greece, Italy, Portugal, and Turkey as high temperatures and prolonged drought created dangerous fire conditions. Thousands of firefighters have been deployed to contain the flame, while residents and tourists in the affected areas have been forced to evacuate. In North America, wildfires continue to impact parts of Canada and the United States, with smoke affecting air quality across large areas. Fire crews battled rapidly spreading blazes as authorities warned of increased risk due to dry vegetation and extreme weather. In Asia, several countries also faced major wildfire threats, with forest fires reported in regions affected by heat waves and changing weather patterns. Scientists have warned that rising global temperatures are increasing the frequency and intensity of extreme fire events, making wildfire seasons longer and more difficult to manage. Governments and emergency agencies are strengthening prevention measures, including improved monitoring, firefighting capacity, and public safety campaigns. Another issue dominating the global agenda this week is migration. Spain is facing renewed pressure after thousands crossed into the North African enclave of Ceuta, triggering fresh political tensions across Europe. Thousands of migrants who crossed into Spain's North African enclave of Ceuta from Morocco have returned after being escorted back to the border by Spanish security forces, following one of the largest sudden migration surges in recent years. The crossings left at least 72 people dead, with bodies recovered from the sea alongside abandoned flotation devices. The incident has triggered political tensions across Europe, reigniting debate over migration policies and border controls. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez criticized European leaders for what he described as a lack of support during the crisis, while Italy's government accused Spain of taking a softer approach to migration. The surge has also raised questions over what triggered the mass arrivals, with officials investigating whether misleading social media campaigns encouraged migrants to travel to Ceuta played a role. European governments have called for stronger measures to prevent irregular migration, while Spain defended its approach, saying the country needs foreign workers due to an aging population. Officials continue to examine the circumstances behind the crossings as concerns grow over the role of misinformation and organized migration networks. Turning now to science and innovation, Chinese astronauts have harvested the first rice crop aboard the Tiangong space station in a major step for space agricultural research.
More than 2 months after arriving at China's space station, the 3 astronauts of the Shenzhou 23 spaceflight mission, Zhu Yangzhu, Zhang Zhiyuan, and Lai Ka-ying, are all in good condition and have made steady progress on multiple space science experiments, including a groundbreaking study on multi-generational rice cultivation in microgravity. Launched on May 24th, the Shenzhou 23 spacecraft carried rice seeds and other experimental materials to the Tiangong space station. After over 2 months of careful cultivation, the crew successfully harvested the first batch of rice samples. The experiment aims to achieve the first ever continuous cultivation of 2 generations of rice in orbit, completing 2 full life cycles from seed to seed to seed, and elucidate the molecular mechanisms by which long-term microgravity affects genetic stability in rice. The astronauts also carried out experiments related to light environment factors, adjusting and intervening in the cabin's lighting conditions, and conducting performance tests before and after modifications to investigate how light environments in special space settings affect human psychological perception and work efficiency. For health management, the crew completed multiple medical examinations, including electrocardiography, vision tests, intraocular pressure measurements, and fundus examinations. The astronauts also actively engaged in physical exercise during space treadmills and other equipment.
Wildlife conservation also made headlines this week. Kazakhstan released an Amur tiger into its historic habitat in more than 7 decades, marking a milestone for the endangered species. An endangered Amur tiger has been released into its historic habitat in Kazakhstan for the first time in more than 70 years, marking a major milestone in efforts to restore the species' population. The female tiger, named Umid, was released on July the 31st in a state nature reserve under a long-term conservation program led by Kazakhstan with support from Russian and international partners. Kazakhstan described the release as a historic first step toward reestablishing a sustainable wild tiger population. It added that long-term monitoring and conservation efforts will now be critical to the program's success. Amid conflict and uncertainty, young roller skaters in Gaza are finding hope and resilience by training among the ruins of the war. Palestinian roller skaters in Khan Yunis are using the sport as a way to cope with the impact of conflict and displacement, practicing their moves among the rubble of damaged buildings. The skaters say continuing their training after the war has provided a sense of purpose and a way to showcase local talent despite difficult living conditions. Skater Mohammad Saad Eldin said the group aims to highlight the abilities of young people in Gaza and demonstrate their potential to the wider world. The athletes have continued practicing in areas affected by destruction, turning damaged spaces into temporary training grounds. The skaters say the activity provides an outlet from daily hardships and helps bring a sense of normalcy to their lives. They hope their efforts will draw attention to Gaza's sporting talent and inspire more people to pursue creative and athletic activities despite ongoing challenges. From stories of human resilience to celebration, hundreds of beer enthusiasts gathered in Vienna in an attempt to set a new world record for the largest simultaneous beer pour. More than 600 beer enthusiasts gathered at Vienna's Ottakringer brewery in an attempt to set a world record for the largest number of people pouring beer simultaneously. The event was organized as part of the brewery's annual Summer Beer Festival, which aims to celebrate Austria's brewing heritage while attracting younger visitors through interactive activities. Ottakringer Brewery brand marketing manager Gabi Grossberger said the event highlighted beer's role in bringing people together and creating shared experiences. Participants took part in the coordinated pour as organizers sought recognition for the record attempt. The festival combines traditional brewery culture with modern entertainment to promote Austria's beer industry and encourage wider public participation. Organizers said the event is designed to strengthen community engagement while showcasing the country's long-standing brewing traditions. Now to the world of fashion. Indonesia hosted a fashion festival showcasing innovation, culture, and international collaboration. The J53 Fashion Festival 2026 concluded after bringing together emerging designers from Indonesia and France in a showcase celebrating creativity, cultural excellence, and innovation. The festival's featured runway presented collections from 13 designers and fashion brands. The showcase highlighted diverse creative identities and encouraged collaboration between young talents from both the countries. The runway featured experimental collections from 4 finalists of the Future Fashion Designer Program, with designs exploring identity through bold and artistic details. Indonesian designers also presented contemporary creations including genderless denim streetwear, modern interpretations of Bangka's traditional sual textile, and structured designs inspired by literature and modern aesthetics. Organizers say the event reinforced JF3's commitment to nurturing young designers and expanding international collaboration in the fashion industry. Keeping with culture, hundreds gathered in Armenia's capital Yerevan to celebrate traditional folk dance and help preserve the country's rich cultural heritage.
Hundreds of people have gathered in central Yerevan for a monthly traditional Armenian dance event aimed at promoting the country's cultural heritage and bringing folk traditions closer to the public. Held on the last Friday of every month near a landmark in the city, the event features dancers performing traditional routines and encouraging community participation. Dance teacher Gayan Davtyan said the gatherings help preserve Armenian identity and keep cultural traditions alive among younger generations. She described the event as a way to maintain a strong connection to the country's heritage and national values. Performers said the initiative seeks to spread Armenian culture and move folk dance beyond formal stages by making it accessible to ordinary people. Organizers say the monthly gatherings continue to attract residents and visitors, creating a shared space for cultural expression and community engagement. The event has become a regular cultural attraction in Yerevan, allowing participants of all ages to take part in traditional dances. Organizers say the initiative reflects growing efforts to preserve and promote Armenia's folk traditions through public participation.
As we end on a colorful note, costumes, creativity and fandom took center stage as cosplayers from around the world gathered in Japan for the World Cosplay Summit.
Cosplayers from around the world have gathered in Nagoya for the 2026 World Cosplay Summit, showcasing elaborate costumes and performances during the annual event. Organizers announced that the summit will move to the autumn season from 2027 due to rising summer temperatures and growing concerns over participants' health and safety. The decision comes as extreme heat conditions became an increasing challenge for outdoor events in Japan. The schedule change aims to provide a safer environment for performers and visitors while ensuring the event can continue attracting international participants. The seasonal shift is expected to help improve conditions for participants while supporting the long-term growth of the global cosplay community. The World Cosplay Summit brings together cosplay enthusiasts from various countries and has become one of Japan's major cultural events, celebrating creativity, entertainment, and global fan communities.
And that's all for this edition of The World This Week. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We look forward to bringing you more of the stories shaping the world next week. You can also visit our website at www.nepaltelevision.com and follow us on our social media platforms and YouTube channel. I am Bhavana Kesi. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
What if I told you a story of a place shrouded in mystery and steeped in stones? A place where warriors were born and raised, and their path through the mountains still remain to this day. Ajirkot Gorkha, the unbeaten kingdom.
हामी पाहुनाहरू आउनु हुँदाखेरि हामी यसरी स्वागत गर्छौं अनि अलि-अलि नाचगानहरू देखाउँछौं। मेरो सिंहो नेपाल गाउने कि गोरखामा गर्व लाग्छ जन्मिएछु साथै स्वर्गमा म त नेपालकी छोरी भन्छन् गोर्खाली। जस्तो घाटु चुड्काहरू भन्ने चाहिँ विशेष गरी हुन्छ यहाँ।
For those seeking a luxurious escape, there are stunning lodges that offer an indulgent retreat amidst the rugged beauty of this place. But for the true adventurers, this place has it all, from trekking through dense forest of Nagapokari trails to exploring ancient temples and learning the rich history of the region. So, what do you fancy? Are you the solo explorer, or do you prefer luxury within nature? Or perhaps you are the one who seeks to witness it all. Well, after all, life is a box of chocolates, and this place is filled with surprises. Welcome to the place where magic and reality intertwine, where the wonders of nature are both breathtaking and awe-inspiring. From the elevations of 300 meters to a towering 8,000 meters, this place will leave you mesmerized and in awe.
Nepal and India share one of the closest and most complex relationships in South Asia. We're bound together by geography, we're bound together by history, culture, and also open border, and the two countries also share a deep economic partnership. India remains Nepal's largest trading partner, its principal transit route to the sea, and one of its most important development partners as well. Today, bilateral merchandise trade exceeds $9 billion annually, but the relationship is shaped by far more than trade figures. It is influenced by history, it's influenced by diplomacy, political trust, and changing regional dynamics as well. To help us better understand these issues on Insight today, we are joined by Professor Sriram Upadhyay, a distinguished scholar of Nepal's history and Nepal-India relations, and the author of several books on the subject. Professor Upadhyay, it's good to have you on NTV World Insight.
Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak here.
Nepal and India has had economic and cultural ties, also aided by the open geography. From historical perspective, how have you viewed this relationship with India evolve over the course of time, and where are we today?
Yeah, if you will go to the inscription, we used to export many items. Nepalaka kotla means Nepalaka kambalakam. It was most popular at the time. Nepal was popular. Even Chinese have written, Wen Sang has written lots about how we export the things there. We have market all over the Europe. Kasturi, it was exported to Europe. Nepal was quite wealthy at the time because of the trade volumes. That's why. But we lose, little by little we lose. Why we lose? We started deforesting. We didn't give more concentrate on education. So we started losing. In medieval people, after that, yeah, we lose opportunity because you need to read more, because the college and schools were banned at the time. My grandfather said, if you want to send me in Tarai, I will open a school. And he opened a school there in Sira.
So one of the reasons for the disparity in development, probably, you were saying, is we didn't catch up with the pace of education.
Yes, of course. You see, when British were there, Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru all went there in England because their parents were there with the British. They were trained, yeah, and British started opening the college there. It was their interest also because it was necessary for them to flourish the trade in India, and they want to send all their goods to China and other parts. They developed Nepal as interport trade. The tourists coming from this side and they go to China, and Chinese tourists going to India. This was the interport trade. So what happened? They have willingness, but our people were used as porter only. They forget their tradition, they forget their art of living, and they forget the use of the herbals. They forget. So necessarily, gradually, it reduces. The trade reduces. So we lose many things, and we become independent with India still.
Because you've also published a wonderful Indo-Nepal trade relations book. How have you seen the trade partnership evolve over the course of time? Because the trade deficit gap seems to be widening each year.
Yes, yes. People became lazy also, and also good education system.
By people, you mean Nepali people?
Yes, 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 yes. Because they were deprived of good education, you see. Why we have Triton College? Because they British wanted this. Because they wanted that the Nepalis should be trained and educated so that they will understand the use of the weapons. Yeah? Because for their purpose, it was restricted, actually. The Darbar school was there, also Mahavir school was open, but it was closed by the government. They were very cautious about imparting education. That was one of the reasons why country lose everything. And after democracy came, all the traditional syllabus were introduced. Which syllabus that was introduced by Lord Macaulay in India. They completely followed that. Nothing came, no original thinking, no creativity. Why we left behind in diplomacy also? Why? Because we have no confidence on that issue. Dealing with the partner, yeah? Taking advantage from others. This blockade. Why this happened? Do you know the reason? Not because India has imposed the blockade. It's a treaty. They gave the time, but they didn't renew. What happened in our treaty? Government promised that we will go give land. Before they proposed, they said this. I have asked many foreign ministers, do not mention that the land should be also provided by funding of the treaty. If you write that clauses, then naturally that problem will be solved, because we have fighting for the land. Why slow? This fast track is slow because there is issue of the land. So if you write that in the treaty, you will mention that in the treaty, the things will go naturally fast.
Surely the treaties between India and Nepal need revision, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why they formed some time back the Eminent Persons Group as well, which prepared and submitted the report. Many analysts say the report is now dead because it's been so many years that Nepal submitted, but the Indian part has not accepted it. So would you agree it is dead?
Yes, they can talk and talk and talk, always. We can fight. Very good relations with India and China. We can fight like America and other country. We can talk constantly. We should go and talk to them. Constantly. It's our weakness that we don't follow.
And what is causing that? Why are we not holding as many dialogues?
Why? Because of the slowness. Because why should we go? What the people will think of it? So many prejudices. Not forward. They don't talk constantly. I have also mentioned you earlier that our diplomacy is very weak, and also we don't want to take the advantage.
Could you give a specific example?
I met many ambassadors. They told this thing always, all the time. We want to invest money, but they don't allow to invest. One, I found a children organization. There was a quota for 200 children, but only 50 children were there. I asked why? Because we have to rely on the local level. They don't send children.
You've very closely analyzed and evaluated the treaties that Nepal has signed with India. Which one would you say needs revisions, and what would you revise?
We often tell about Sugoli, Treaty of Sugoli only. Have you heard that everybody talking about Sugoli Treaty? Do you think it's enough? What is your opinion? Sugoli Treaty is enough? If you will only talk about, India will tell you, that, okay, you rely on Sugoli Treaty, we will not give you tripart, because we lost tripart according to Treaty of Sugoli. How we restored that tripart, you know that? I don't know why the people only talk about Sugoli Treaty. So we have to not to talk Sugoli Santi, but we have to talk the Treaty of 1860.
Few years back, the then government issued a new administrative map.
Yes.
Claiming the areas of Limpiadhura and Lipu Lake, among others, as our own. Fast forward to 2026, our Prime Minister saying in the Parliament that even we have encroached some of our southern neighbours' lands. How do you view this whole scenario? Where do you think this puts Nepal in a diplomatic sense?
Very good questions. We should not lose an inch of our territory. We should be very patriot. People sacrifice their life. You can see still now. We have war. Why? They want to sacrifice for the country. My relatives was Chief Justice Kesapasa Upadhyaya. I went there to get original documents of Treaty of Sugoli. They could not show me the original. We don't have. I asked Chief Justice, give me original if you have that. No, we don't have, but I will show you the map. So I went, I saw, but now that maps were disappeared. This is the problem. We don't keep everything safe. This also documentation is very problem here in Nepal.
How do you think India views Nepal?
We are friends, equal friends. Some of the Indians think that Nepal was developed in 1814 and 1816. This after
the treaty,
Sugoli Treaty. But their ignorance.
What do you think are Nepal's strengths that we can capitalize on to expand our diplomatic strength?
We are very good people, honest people. Don't worry for people going outside. I don't want to tell everybody to stay here in Nepal. If you will see Japan, many Japanese used to go to outside world. This is open. world, open thought. So develop a skill. If the people will see the opportunity in Nepal, they will come back learning skills outside world. So they should come, and the people are their strength. Why, I told you, why British so strong, never defeated in the war, except Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar. They make all the Europe the Roman Empire. See, why? They try to develop the skill of the people. You can't see the things produced in England. Very rare. It's very costly. Why? It's perfect. They develop perfect. So perfection. And the people is their strength. Use it. Guide them properly. We have all the time violence and dissatisfaction. Why? Because so many reasons. The children failed and committed suicide. I told Education Minister recently, why so many people failed? Because you revise the curriculum. It's theory-based, no use. It's more practical. I asked them, you need not to memorize the constitution there, but you should write better constitution. You need not to memorize the poem written by Devkota or anyone, but they should write more beautiful poem than Devkota. That should be the objective. More good. Most people, how you evaluate the children? Why you are making them mad? Very slow, constant evaluation system, constant. Don't make them fail. Constant evaluation, daily evaluation, monthly evaluation, like the evaluation all the time. The monitoring should be proper. The government is taking, they will never ask. I have suggested, planning commission, that give them the terms of reference and daily plan what they will do daily. The Prime Minister should look after every, or monitor himself. Which minister is doing good or not doing good, what they have done. For I will give you some little examples. In crossing the line of university, it's not coming back again. They give report disappear.
Nepal is sandwiched between two economic giants.
Yes,
and
China is
whenever we talk about diplomatic relation, bilateral relation with India, China is also one country that comes into factor, and vice versa.
Yeah.
How good are we handling our relation with both the neighbors, bringing both the neighbors into the equation?
Nepalis are very good. They respect us very much, even Indian. Yeah. So they will agree on our demands. But we should put forward this, give the evidence, talk to the people. You go there and just return. That will not solve. Talk to people, more people, give them evidence. We have history there. No need a third party to bring. The British went, they have given us the documents. You can use that. The difference, you see, when I was studying in 1843, I wrote all, because of the master, was a very good friend of my father and father-in-law. The master, Jagdish Samsarva, he asked he should be allowed to consult all the documents available there. And when I saw many maps there which supported Nepal. The treaty, the part of the territory was included in the map. The map I found in the Supreme Court was there, but then it disappeared. And this time I went and found, recently I also went there, India, Delhi, and consulted that National Archive. All the documents disappeared. At the time, it was big map, so it was not possible at that time, and also the map were disappeared.
The second
time?
The
government, after this Genji movement, the Chief Justice asked me to show me the maps. Where is that? I went there. Disappeared. I could not see. It was not burnt, I think. It was not burnt. This is the problem. I suggested the education minister to write a small booklet on our issue of this lost territory about that. You see, after 1 month, that document was lost. So it is also the problem of the nation. So we have to preserve our documents properly. If you will try to, can you get this Goli Treaty original version? No, you can't get.
It's a given that Nepal lacks strength in documentation,
yes,
which
of
makes
course.
us weak.
Yeah.
Now, coming back to the treaties once again, what would you say, very shortly, which treaties would you say Nepal needs to absolutely revise with India?
Yes, of course, yeah, we have many treaties. I told you before that why we have economic blockade, because of the lacking of the clause of the treaty. But it doesn't say that it will continue until the contracting party, one of the contracting party will object. It will continue until one of the contracting party will object. If you write that, no problem of blockage. I told at that time also, why you have, because you mentioned the time, and both the countries sleep. And when they are blocked, and then they start crying. So, write treaty in a proper way. The draft of the treaty should be discussed among the intellects. In India, they have the study group in the university, South Asia, China, and they deal with the treaty, see the treaty. We never discuss before we go to another country what we are going to do. We never discuss in the university, and we never call intellectuals. Of course, we have some organization, but very limited. The prime minister comes and they deliver speech and go. So the treaty should be discussed properly among the intellectuals. They will give suggestion, and that treaty will be effective. Why we object against the treaty, 1950 treaty? Because the treaty is favorable to foreigners. It gives privilege to foreigners. That should be amended. I talked to Indian diplomats about this 1950 treaty. They repeatedly say, why you are not coming with a good treaty? Government of India has repeatedly asked Nepal to bring revision of the treaty. Repeatedly asking them. Recently I went there, they said same thing. Recently I visited National Archive and GNU, and also Jawaharlal Nehru library there, Trimurti Marg. And they say that why you are not coming, you say you complain against the 1950 treaty, but you don't come with the revised version of the 1950 treaty. We should thoroughly revise our treaty and bring another alternative treaty of 1950. Why you are silent? Why you are not going with the new proposals of collaborations? New idea of collaboration. India is advancing more fastly, and also China. I met with the Chinese professor. You can't demand us. You can make your country very beautiful with the assistance of China, but you don't demand with them. When you just shake hands and return back.
What would you say would be the avenues that Nepal could explore with our northern neighbor?
They have plenty of resources, and also they have developed the technology. We can share that technology. Why? They don't fail their students in the school and college. You don't see. If you go to visit any country of the world, they don't fail their students. Only this happened in Asian continent, Southeast and South Asia. Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Nepal. They are suffering, and the children are suffering because of bad education and bad diplomacy, I will say. Every people say, oh, you want to help Nepal, but why they don't want to take our help? I found many ambassadors talking me about this. If you go and talk to, you have many problems with the rule. They always say, yeah, this clause, that clause. Always they They never allow us to work.
So from the conversation that we've had so far, I think there are a few takeaways that we could take. One is we need to reform our education system. We need to make it more practical. The other is Nepal also needs to explore more of diplomatic avenues with other countries than India and China. It's not a setback that our youths are leaving the country as long as they come back with skills.
No
And
worry
we need
about
to strengthen our documentation part.
So
looking forward, going forward, what makes you feel optimistic about a good Nepal-India relations?
I'm very much optimistic because they want that we should help Nepal. I told, you see the petroleum pipeline. Why not we brought that petrol pipeline up to Kathmandu? Why not only Biratnagar? Why not in Kathmandu? Why you are not talking with China to connect Peking with Kathmandu by railways? Why? They don't talk. I'm surprised why they don't talk. They don't put their proposal forward. So I request this government, they should be well prepared before they visit. The treaties, engagement or any their proposals. Thoroughly revise their proposals. Thoroughly act on the issues. Discuss with the people. Bring intellectuals and experienced people who work in the diplomacy.
So there's a need for more initiative on part of the government. Lastly, before we conclude, how much of a strength do you think the current government has to do all these?
We are very much optimistic about this government. People expect many. They see newspaper. If there is one change this day, they are looking all the change all the time. You cannot escape with the people. They want the changes, and we still look forward. We think that Balin will do something new, and also Honorable Prime Minister Balin. I have also sent him one letter that we should invite dignitaries from other part of the world. So I think this will do. I think he is also very intellectual, and I have faith on this foreign minister as well. He is a very good man, and we have many conversations with him. I would like to suggest to him, when he visits India, he should be well prepared. What his proposals? He need not to bring another people, another country in this issue. Sit with the Indians, make them happy, and tell them this part is ours. We have evidence. Put evidence before them. They will agree. They are human beings. People are the same. Culture are the same, everything is same. So why they will object? Because they need Nepalese help there. They also need help. You see, one of the foreign ministers said to me, India has helped so lots of things, but what we have done for India? Foreign Minister of Nepal told me. I said, Nepalese have sacrificed their life for India. Every battle, they go there. They shed their blood. This is also, yes, then money. They're still sacrificing their life. They're so brave and so patriot. If you will give them weapons of the modern technology, then they will be the strongest nation of the world. He said this to Vallabhbhai Patel. You don't know Nepalese. So support Nepal always for her independence. He told Vallabhbhai Patel. I wrote many things in the diplomatic history, and also in diplomacy it is said that I always remember Somerset mom has written one story. That story said, they were friends, but enemies. They were friends but enemies. Each cheated the other, each needed the other, each feared the other. They were friends but enemies.
Wonderful. Professor Upadhyay, thank you so much for your time and also for sharing your thoughts on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about our relations with China and India. We will be a strong power like Switzerland. It's small, but very powerful. Thank you very much.
That's a very optimistic tone to end the show at. Thank you, as always, our esteemed viewers, for staying on the show. We will be back with similar discourses in future. Until next time.
Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers as it offers both adventure along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna Circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Thorangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Thampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience, then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna Range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons.
विश्वको सबैभन्दा लामो पदयात्राको रूपमा रहेको मिथिला माध्यमिक परिक्रमा निकै नै पौराणिक तथा धार्मिक परिक्रमा हो। यो परिक्रमाको 15 दिने यात्रामा यात्रुले नेपालको 115 किलोमिटर र भारतको 28 किलोमिटर गरी जम्मा 143 किलोमिटर यात्रा गर्ने गर्दछन्। यसमा नेपालको 11 तथा भारतको 4 गरी जम्मा 15 पडाव पर्दछ। पडावमा पुगेपछि बास पनि बसिन्छ। नेपालका 11 पडाव मध्ये महोत्तरीमा 5 र धनुषामा 6 वटा पडाव पर्दछ भने भारतको मधुबनी जिल्लामा 4 वटा पडाव पर्दछ। यो परिक्रमालाई मिथिलामा महाकुम्भ पनि भनिने गरिन्छ। फाल्गुन औँसीका दिन धनुषाको ठेरा कचुरी स्थित मिथिला बिहारी मठबाट अवध बिहारी श्रीरामको प्रतिमा राखिएको डोला बोकिएपछि यात्रा प्रारम्भ गरिन्छ। भगवान श्रीरामको डोला जनकपुर पुगेपछि अग्निकुण्ड स्थानबाट निस्कने श्री किशोरीजीको डोला मिसिएपछि यात्रा औपचारिक रूपमा प्रारम्भ हुने परम्परा छ।
यो हामीहरूको लाग्छन् कि करिब करिब यसको इतिहास चाहिँ 100 वर्षभन्दा पनि माथि होला, 100-200 वर्षभन्दा पनि माथि होला। जुन मिथिला बिहारीबाट सुरु भएछ कचरी भन्ने ठाउँको एउटा महात्मा हुनुहुन्थ्यो। उहाँले चाहिँ यो परिक्रमा माध्यमिक परिक्रमा चाहिँ सुरु गरियो।
भगवान राम र जगत जननी सीताको प्रतिमा राखिएको डोलासँगै गरिने यो यात्रा मोक्षदायक, कल्याणदायक र आरोग्यदायक हुने हिन्दू मैथिल जनविश्वास छ। त्रेता युगमा श्रीराम र माता सीताले विवाह पश्चात मिथिलाका विभिन्न स्थानको भ्रमण गरेको सम्झनामा यो यात्रा गर्ने गरिएको मान्यता छ। यो यात्रा मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम श्रीराम र मिथिला नन्दिनी श्री जानकीको पद चिन्ह पछ्याउने यात्राको रूपमा गरिने यात्रा हो। यसमा नेपाल र भारतका गरी लाखौं श्रद्धालुले यात्रा गर्ने गर्दछन्। यो यात्राको उद्देश्य अभिष्ट आरोग्यता, कल्याण र मोक्षको कामना हो।
यो रामायण कालदेखि नै चल्दै आएको यो हाम्रो मिथिलाको माध्यमिकी परिक्रमाले धेरै निकै प्रभाव हाम्रो धार्मिक र सांस्कृतिक स्तरमा धेरै प्रभाव पार्छ। यस माध्यमिकी परिक्रमामा नेपालभरिको वा मिथिलाभरिको मात्रै नभई नेपाल, भारत लगायत तेस्रो मुलुक समेतको यात्रीहरू यसमा सहभागी हुन्छन् र लाखौँभन्दा लाखौँको सङ्ख्यामा उपस्थित हुन्छन्। यसमा हिन्दू धर्मावलम्बीहरूको लागि यो त्रेता युगदेखि नै चल्दै आएको यो माध्यमिकी परिक्रमा हो र यसमा साधु सन्त, गृहस्थ, परिवार, धार्मिक श्रद्धालुहरू सबै यसमा सहभागी हुन्छन्।
मिथिला महात्म्यमा वर्णन गरिएको मध्य परिक्रमाको सुरुवात 18औं शताब्दी भन्दा केही अगाडि भएको मान्यता छ। यो परिक्रमा फाल्गुन औँसीदेखि पूर्णिमासम्मको मध्यमा गरिने भएकोले यसलाई माध्यमिक परिक्रमा भनिएको हो। अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमा गरिएपछि यो माध्यमिक परिक्रमा पूरा भएको मानिन्छ। अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमालाई पञ्चकोशी परिक्रमा पनि भनिन्छ। माध्यमिक परिक्रमा गर्न नपाएका वा नभ्याएकाले यो पञ्चकोशी परिक्रमाबाटै मोक्षको कामना गर्दछन्।
15 दिने परिक्रमाको महात्म जनकपुर धामको परिक्रमा छ। त्यो बेलाको कलानेश्वरबाट सुरु हुन्छन्, जुन राजा जनकको समयमा प्रथम द्वार थियो र 4वटा द्वारमा 4वटा उहाँले शिवलिङ्ग स्थापना गरेका थियो शिवजीको, जुन कलानेश्वर छ, जलेश्वर छ, बाटोमा आउँछ धनुषाधाम जाने बाटोमा छिलेश्वर आउँछन् अनि कपिलेश्वर आउँछन्। यो सबै चाहिँ हाम्रो मिथिला महात्मा अनुसार यो माध्यमिक परिक्रमा अन्तर्गत पर्छ। त जहाँ जानकीजीसँग जोडिएको त्यो बेलाको उहाँको स्थलहरू छन् जहाँ अनेक लीला गर्नुभएको छ। त्यो स्थलहरू घुम्दै यहाँ 15 दिनमा यहाँ प्रवेश हुन्छ र यहाँ अन्त्यगृह गरेर अनि परिक्रमाको पूर्णावती समाप्त हुन्छ।
15 दिने परिक्रमाको जे फल प्राप्त हुन्छ लगभग त्यो चाहिँ जानकीजीको भूमि भएको हुनाले, जनकजीको भूमि भएको हुनाले त्यो अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमा मात्रै त्यो गर्दाखेरि त्यसको फल त्यो प्राप्त हुन्छ। यहाँलाई एउटा कुरा जानकारी दिउँ, त्यो के हो भनेदेखि यो चाहिँ अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमामा को विकासमा सबभन्दा ठुलो योगदान मौनी बाबाको हो। यहाँ मौनी बाबा एकजना हुनुहुन्थ्यो। त्यो मौनी बाबाले त्यो चाहिँ रिङ रोड अहिलेको भाषामा भनौँ र त्यो चाहिँ परिक्रमा क्षेत्र जुन छ त्यो सडकको दुवैतिर त्यो रुखहरू लगाउनु भएको त्यो चाहिँ मौनी बाबाले हो। र एउटा अचम्मको कुरो छ र रोचक कुरो पनि के छ भनेदेखि यसको नाउँ हेर्नुहोस्, अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमा भनेको अन्तर्नगर परिक्रमा होइन, यो अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमा हो। त त्यो चाहिँ त्यसको आशय के छ भनेदेखि कि प्रत्येक मिथिलावासी बहुत पवित्र छन् र यहाँ जन्म लिनु नै बहुत सार्थक र अत्यन्त पुण्यको कुरो हो। त्यसले आफ्नै घरको पनि परिक्रमा हुन्छ। त्यो हामी जति छौँ यहाँ बस्नेहरू त्यो अन्तर्गृहको परिक्रमा पनि गर्छौँ। त त्यो चाहिँ अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमा त्यो धार्मिक दृष्टिले यसको महत्त्व त्यो मिथिला महात्म्यका ग्रन्थहरू जति छन् ती सबै ग्रन्थहरूमा हामीले पाउने गर्दछौँ।
चौचरीको मिथिला बिहारी जनकपुरको सुन्दर सदन मन्दिरबाट ईश्वरीजी र राम जानकी सहित जनकपुरको अन्य डोला हनुमान गढीबाट सुरु गरिने माध्यमिक परिक्रमा भारतको कल्याणेश्वर गिरिजा स्थान हुँदै चौथो दिन महोत्तरीको प्रसिद्ध पौराणिक लक्ष्मी नारायणको मठ रहेको मटिहानी आइपुग्दछ, जहाँबाट पुनः नेपालका विभिन्न स्थानहरूको परिक्रमा सुरु हुने गर्दछ। मटिहानी महोत्तरी जिल्लामा पर्ने 5 पडावहरू मध्येको पहिलो पडाव पनि हो। भगवान राम र माता सीताको विवाहमा यज्ञवेदी निर्माण गर्दा यही मटिहानीबाट माटो खनी लगिएको धार्मिक विश्वास रहेको छ।
जनकपुरको हनुमानगढीबाट विधिवत प्रारम्भ हुन्छ। यसको सबै ठाउँमा परिक्रमावासीहरू बस्ने अथवा डोला बस्नेको सबैको आफ्नो आफ्नो धार्मिक महत्त्व छ र यो मटिहानीको पनि एउटा विशेषता के हो भने यहाँ राजगुठी पहिला लक्ष्मीनारायण मठ र एउटा रामायणकालीन इतिहाससित जोडिएको कारणले गर्दा मटिहानीमा राम र जानकीको बिहा हुँदाखेरि बिहाको यज्ञवेदी निर्माण गर्नलाई यहाँबाट माटो खनेर लगेको एउटा धार्मिक विश्वास भएको कारणले गर्दा परिक्रमा पनि यहाँ आइपुग्छ। एउटा रामायणकालीन इतिहास र धार्मिक महत्त्व भएको कारणले गर्दा विशेष गरी यहाँ आइपुग्छ र यस पछाडि जलेश्वरनाथ आराध्य देव जलेश्वरनाथको नगरी पुगिन्छ। सबैको आफ्नो आफ्नो धार्मिक विशेषता छ। मटिहानीको पनि रामायणकालीन धार्मिक महत्त्व भएको कारणले गर्दा डोला यहाँसम्म आइपुग्ने गरेको।
पाँचौं दिन बिहानै मटिहानीबाट यात्रुहरू आराध्य देव जलेश्वरनाथको नगरी जलेश्वरको लागि प्रस्थान गर्दछन्। जलेश्वरबाट मडै ध्रुवकुण्ड हुँदै 8औं दिन परिक्रमा कञ्चनवन पुग्दछ। कञ्चनवन महोत्तरी जिल्लाको अन्तिम पडाव पनि हो। पौराणिक कालमा भगवान राम र माता सीताले यस ठाउँमा नित्य होली खेल्ने गरेको धार्मिक मान्यता पनि छ।
तुलसीदासले भन्नुभएको छ कि रामायण शतकोटि अपार किसिम धेरै किसिमका रामायणहरू छन् र राम कथाहरू पनि अनेक छन्। मिथिलाको जुन कथा छ त्यो चाहिँ लोक आस्था मात्रै, किंवदन्ती मात्रै हो। त्यो चाहिँ कुनै अन रेकर्ड त्यसलाई खोज्नु हुन्छ भने पाउनुहुन्न। त्यो हाम्रो विश्वास के छ भने कि सीता र राम जब घुम्दै थिए डोलामा, सबैसित भेट्दै थिए यो बेलामा, होलीको बेलामा, अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ सबभन्दा पहिले कञ्चनवन राम खेले होरी कञ्चनवन, त्यो चाहिँ आरम्भ त्यो चाहिँ त्यहीँदेखि हो।
यहाँ मिथिला महात्मा पनि छन् र हाम्रो रामायणहरूमा पनि छ। 4वटा वन थियो, 10वटा उपवन थियो। त 4वटा वन मध्येको कञ्चन वन जुन थियो त्यसमा भगवानको होली महोत्सव भएछ। जानकीजीसँग राम जब बेहुला भएर यहाँ एउटा वैवाहिक सम्बन्धमा गाँच्नुभयो अनि एउटा यहाँ 6 महिना बस्नु भएछ जनकपुरमा। त्यो बेला र जनकपुरमा 6 महिना बस्दा ससुरालीको एउटा आनन्दले होली महोत्सवको बेलामा चाहिँ कञ्चनवनमा गएर यहाँको जति पनि उहाँको सखी, यहाँको जति पनि जनकपुरवासी थियो त्रेतायुगमा, उहाँ सम्पूर्णसँग त्यहाँ चाहिँ सीताजीसँग होली खेलेको एउटा घटना छन् जुन अहिले पनि परिक्रमामा त्यो हामीहरू त्यहाँको त्यो आनन्द त्यही गर्छौँ।
सोही सम्झनामा उक्त ठाउँमा परिक्रमा आइसकेपछि होली खेल्ने परम्परा छ। त्यस ठाउँमा पुगेका तीर्थयात्रु तथा भक्तजनले एकअर्कालाई रंग अबिर लगाएर होली खेल्ने गर्दछन्। सो होलीको आयोजना बृहत्तर जनकपुर क्षेत्र विकास परिषद, भङ्गहा नगरपालिका, जनकपुरका सुन्दर सदन लगायतका संघ संस्थाले संयुक्त रूपमा गर्ने गर्दछन्। कञ्चनवनबाट 9औं दिन बिहानै हिँडेका तीर्थयात्रीहरू धनुषाको पर्वता अर्थात् श्रीरेश्वरनाथ महादेव स्थान हुँदै धनुषा धाम, सतोखर, औरही, भारतको बिहार स्थित करुणा स्थान हुँदै जनकपुर पुग्दछन्।
महात्मा उल्लेख भए अनुसार कलानेश्वर आरभ्य निवसेत गिरिजालय, कलानेश्वरमा सुरु गर्ने र गिरिजा स्थानमा बस्ने, त्यसपछि तृतीयायाम मृतखनी, यो तृतीया तिथिको दिनमा यहाँ लक्ष्मीनारायणको मठ र संस्कृत विद्या, प्राच्य विद्याको धरोहर, यो मटिहानीमा बासबसी परिक्रमा जलेश्वर आरम्भेत कलानेश्वर निवसेत जलेश्वर, ततः परम क्षीरेश्वरम, ततः परम सतोखर धाम। यो 15 दिनको जो परिक्रमा हुन्छ यसमा तपाईको चतुर्दशीको सबै जम्मा हुन्छन् र 15 दिन जम्मा अमावास्याको कलानेश्वरमा आएर जम्मा हुन्छन् प्रतिपदा तिथिको र द्वितीयाको तपाईको गिर्जास्थान आउँछन् तृतीयाको मटिहानीमा निवास गरेर यो हजारौं साधु सन्तहरू गृहस्थहरू यसमा देश विदेशका दर्शनार्थीहरू गृहस्थ सन्यासी विद्वान र आम सर्वसाधारणहरू चौथी तिथिको बाबा प्रसिद्ध जलेश्वरनाथ महादेव स्थान जलेश्वरमा गएर बस्छन्। त्यसै पाँचौं दिन माण्डव्य आश्रम जो मरै हो भन्ने ठाउँ त्यहाँ निवास गर्छन् र छैटौं दिन ध्रुवकुण्ड र सातौं दिनमा तपाईको ध्रुवकुण्डबाट कञ्चनवनमा जहाँ चाहिँ होली खेल्नु भएको छ राम सीताजीले र त्यसपछि सतोखर 7वटा ऋषिको आश्रम छ सतोखर धाम महादेव त्यहाँ बस्छन्। त्यसपछि पर्वता अनि धनुषा धाम अनि औरी र करुणा बिसौल हुँदै 15औं दिनमा जनकपुर आइपुग्छन् र यो अन्तिम परिक्रमा गरेर के गर्छन् त समाप्ति हुन्छन्। जसले बृहती परिक्रमा गर्न सकेको छैन त्यो 5 दिनको परिक्रमा गर्छ र जो 5 दिनको पनि गर्न सक्दैन उनीहरूको लागि यो अन्त्यगृही छ अन्त्यगृही यस्य अन्त्यगृही परिक्रमा गरेर परिक्रमा समाप्त हुन्छ।
यो जनकपुरको हनुमान नगरबाट प्रारम्भ भएर भारतको कलानेश्वर त्यसपछि फुलहर मटिहानी जलेश्वर मडै ध्रुवकुण्ड कञ्चनवन त्यसपछि सतोखर औरी त्यसपछि फेरि पनि कलानेश्वर पुगेर चाहिँ यो जनकपुरको अन्तगिरी परिक्रमामा सम्मिलित भएपछि यसको चाहिँ समापन हुने गरेको छ।
यात्रीहरू जनकपुर आइपुगेको दिन अर्थात् 15औं दिनको राति होलिका दहन गर्ने र भोलिपल्ट धुरी उडाउने गरिन्छ। होलिका दहन र धुरा उडाउने सत्ययुगकालीन घटना स्मरण गरिएको विश्वास गरिन्छ। दानवराज हिरण्यकीय सिपुले विष्णुभक्त छोरालाई मार्न आगोले नपोल्ने अभय वरदान पाएकी बहिनी होलिकाको काखमा छोरा प्रहलादलाई अग्निकुण्डमा राखिँदा होलिका आगोले भस्म भएकी पुराणमा वर्णन छ। विष्णुभक्त प्रहलादलाई भने आगोले छोएको थियो। परिक्रमाको अन्तिम राति सोही घटनाको सम्झनामा दानवीय प्रकृतिकी होलिकाको अन्त्य भएको सम्झनामा उनको आकृतिलाई आगो लगाउने हिन्दू मैथिल परम्परा छ। भोलिपल्ट होलिका दहन गरिएको खरानीको धुलो उडाएर राक्षसी प्रवृत्ति अन्त्य भएको खुसियाली मनाइएको पौराणिक कथालाई पछि धुरा उडाउने भनिएको मानिन्छ। होलिका दहनको भोलिपल्ट जनकपुरको अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमा गरी यो यात्रा टुङ्गिन्छ। हरेक पाइलामा अश्वमेघ यात्रा बराबरको फल प्राप्त हुने मान्यताका साथ अन्तर्गृह परिक्रमा गरिने गरिन्छ।
यो ठाउँमा वास्तवमा प्रत्येक पाइलामा अश्वमेध यज्ञ भएको चर्चा हामीले पौराणिक ग्रन्थहरूमा पाउँछौँ हरेक पाइलामा। त्यसैले त्यो चाहिँ प्रत्येक पाइला हाम्रो निम्ति चन्दन हो र त्यो चाहिँ नसकेर मात्रै हो। यदि सक्ने हो भनेदेखि यहाँ त खुट्टाले हिँड्नै हुँदैन टाउको टेकेर हिँड्नुपर्छ। त्यस्तो पवित्र बाटो हो यो प्रत्येक कण यसको चन्दन हो। त त्यसैले त्यो चाहिँ यो यात्रा फलदायी हुन्छ।
परिक्रमाका यात्रीहरूले यात्रा पश्चात पिडारी चोकमा रहेको गोरधुवाई पोखरीमा आफ्नो खुट्टा पखाल्ने गर्दछन्। माता सीताले सो पोखरीमा आफ्नो खुट्टा पखालेको किम्वदन्ती छ।
गोरधुवाई पोखरीको यस्तो छ परम्परा, हामीहरूमा भन्छन् जानकीजीले नगर जुन बेला घुम्नु भएको थियो त्यो बेला त्यहाँ गएर आचमन र चरण चाहिँ धुनु भएको थियो। अनि त्यो हिसाबले यो नगरकै परिक्रमा हो। त अहिले त्यही गर्छन्, त्यहाँ गएर आचमन यहाँ हात खुट्टा धोएर अनि मुखमा चाहिँ आचमन जल छर्किन्छन्, किनभने उहाँको चरणको चाहिँ जल हो त्यो सम्झेर। त्यहाँ अहिले पनि त्यही परम्परामा मिथिलावासी यहाँ भक्तजनहरू पनि गर्छन्।
परिक्रमा सकेको भोलिपल्ट मात्र मिथिलामा होली खेल्ने परम्परा छ। माध्यमिकी परिक्रमाको स्वरूप अनौठो छ। बिना निम्तो यसमा लाखौं भक्तजन सहभागी हुने गर्दछन्। सहभागी यात्रीहरू यात्रा अवधिभर खाली खुट्टा नै हिँड्ने गर्दछन्। ढोलक, झायल, करताल, हार्मोनियमको तालमा कीर्तन मण्डली नाच्छन्। जय सिया राम भन्दै भगवानको महिमा गाउँदछन्। यो संगीतमय वातावरणले जो कोहीलाई पनि मन्त्रमुग्ध बनाउँछ। मानिसहरू वर्षभरिका दुःख बिर्सिन्छन्। गृहस्थी जीवनबाट समय निकाले भगवानप्रति आस्था राख्नेहरू तीर्थयात्रामा सामेल हुन्छन्। परिक्रमा आउनु अगावै यसको तयारीमा भक्तजनहरू जुट्दछन्। मानव नै भगवान हो। दुःख परेकालाई सहयोग गर्दा, भोकालाई भोजन गराउँदा पुण्य प्राप्ति हुन्छ भन्ने मान्यता राखेर स्थानीय स्वयंले यात्रीहरूको लागि खाद्यान्न, खानेपानी तथा स्वास्थ्य उपचारको व्यवस्था गरेका हुन्छन्।
स्वास्थ्य शिविर राम्रो छ। हामीले स्वास्थ्य शिविरमा पनि प्रेसरहरू जचायौँ। खाना ओर्न ठाउँ ठाउँमा चिया, पानी, नास्ता सबै बाँडिरहेको छ। हामीले केही उहाँहरूले गरेको पानीहरू पनि युज गर्यौँ। कति ठाउँमा लिनलाई अलिकति मिलेन, कति ठाउँमा लियौँ। स्नान गर्दै गर्दै अनि हामी आयौँ। राम्रो लागिरहेछ।
यात्रीको स्वागत गर्न स्थानीय सबै एकजुट भएर लाग्दछन्। एक विश्राम स्थलबाट अर्को विश्राम स्थल जाँदा स्थानीय सरकार, स्थानीय विभिन्न सङ्घ संस्था लगायत सडकमा लामबद्ध हुन्छन्। उनीहरू परिक्रमाका यात्रीहरूलाई भव्य स्वागत गरेर आफ्नो ठाउँमा भित्र्याउँछन् भने भोलिपल्ट हर्ष बढाई गर्दै विदाई गरेर अर्को विश्राम स्थलमा पठाउँछन्। यात्री तथा धर्मावलम्बीहरू वर्षभरि भएका सबै क्रोध, झै झगडालाई बिर्सिँदै धार्मिक मेलामा रमाउँछन्। विशेष गरेर ज्येष्ठ नागरिकहरू परिक्रमामा सहभागी हुन्छन्। मिथिलामा छोरा बुहारीहरू घर व्यवहार सम्हालेपछि जीवनमा कम्तीमा पनि एकपटक माध्यमिक परिक्रमा गर्ने इच्छा हुन्छ। अधिकांश सहभागी 15 दिनको सामल, लत्ता कपडा, औषधि आदि सँगै बोकेर हिँड्छन्। साधुहरू भने आफूसँग आफ्ना गाई, घोडा, बाँदर सहित परिक्रमा गर्दछन्। यो परिक्रमाले आन्तरिक तथा बाह्य पर्यटनलाई समेत बढावा दिएको छ।
हामीले सांस्कृतिक पर्यटनको दृष्टिले समृद्धिका कुरा गर्छौँ नेपालको प्रसङ्गमा, यसले चाहिँ त्यो आर्थिक समृद्धिलाई पनि, किन भन्दाखेरि त्यो धेरै ठाउँका मान्छेहरू सम्मिलित हुन्छन्, त्यो चाहिँ पर्यटनको विकास हुन्छ, त्यो एउटा चाहिँ पाटो। अर्को चाहिँ नेपाल भारत सम्बन्धको दृष्टिले पनि यो अत्यन्त नै बलियो सूत्र हो, जसले चाहिँ दुवै देशलाई भावनात्मक रूपले बाँध्दछ। जसरी खोलाको कुनै सीमा हुँदैन, जसरी त्यो चाहिँ आकाशको, इन्द्रेणीको कुनै सीमा हुँदैन, त्यसै गरेर नै त्यो संस्कृतिको कुनै सीमा हुँदैन। त्यो चाहिँ राजनीतिक सीमा भिन्न कुरो हो, सांस्कृतिक सीमा एउटा भिन्न कुरो हो। त त्यसैले चाहिँ सम्पूर्ण मिथिलाञ्चललाई त्यो चाहिँ समेट्ने गर्दछ यस परिक्रमाले, अन्तर्गतीय परिक्रमाले पनि र त्यो माध्यमिक परिक्रमाले।
यस्तै नेपाल भारत बीचको सम्बन्धलाई पनि बलियो बनाएको छ। यसले नेपाल र भारतको बीचको रोटी बेटीको सम्बन्धलाई संरक्षण, सम्वर्धन तथा प्रवर्धन गर्दछ। मिथिला परिक्रमा हाम्रो संस्कृति, हाम्रो सभ्यता हो। यस्ता संस्कृति र सभ्यताको संरक्षण, सम्वर्धन तथा प्रवर्धन गर्नु सरकारको मात्र नभई हामी सबैको दायित्व पनि हो।
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected US President Donald Trump's 15-point plan for Gaza, stating that no military pullout will happen until Hamas is genuinely disarmed. Trump's Board of Peace said last month that it had reached an agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza. But Hamas said handing over its heavy weapons was contingent on Israel ending all forms of aggression and withdrawing its forces from Gaza. Israel, meanwhile, has continued to carry out strikes on Gaza since agreeing to an initial ceasefire in the territory last October. Netanyahu, at a cabinet meeting on Sunday, said Israel rejected the 15-point document.
ישראל שוללת את מספר 15 הנקודות. צה"ל לא יבצע נסיגה כלשהי עד פירוק החמאס מנשקו. בנוסף, צה"ל ימשיך לסכל את האיומים נגד כוחותינו ואזרחינו.
Trump last month announced a monumental step toward lasting peace and security after Hamas said it had accepted a disarmament plan for Gaza. It signals another blow for Trump's Gaza peace plan, which was announced in September last year. The plan included the creation of the Board of Peace to oversee the agreement's implementation, as well as the disarmament of Hamas, withdrawal of Israeli troops, and reconstruction of Gaza. China's National Meteorological Center said Typhoon Dolphin is expected to continue into Monday with sustained winds of up to 162 kilometers per hour before weakening as it moves inland. The strength is equivalent to a Category 2 storm. Heavy rainfall is forecast across Zhejiang, Shanghai, northern Fujian, northeastern Jiangxi, Anhui, and Jiangsu. Parts of central and eastern Zhejiang could receive between 250 and 500 millimeters of rainfall. The storm has also disrupted air travel. Nearly 1,400 flights at Shanghai's two main passenger airports were cancelled on Sunday, while Hangzhou Airport reported another 270 cancellations. Officials warned that the storm's westward track could prolong heavy rainfall and increase the risk of flooding and landslides, particularly in mountainous areas and along smaller rivers. China maintained elevated flood emergency responses in Zhejiang, Fujian, Jiangsu, and Anhui, while geological disaster alerts were issued for several areas. In Shanghai, Angshan Port cleared ships from its berths and moved more than 500 small and medium-sized vessels to sheltered areas ahead of the storm. Officials urged residents in high-risk areas to follow evacuation orders and remain alert as Typhoon Dolphin moves inland. Dramatic CCTV footage released by Japan's Kumamoto General Hospital has captured the terrifying moment a medical team braved a powerful 6.8 magnitude earthquake to protect a patient mid-surgery. The surveillance video shows the operating room shaking violently as heavy medical equipment shows and slides across the floor. Rather than seeking cover, doctors and nurses rushed toward the operating table, placing their bodies over the patient to guard against falling objects and steadying the critical machinery. In the footage, one team member is seen securing the emergency exit, while others maintain a firm grip on the surgical bed to prevent it from moving during the severe tremors. Hospital administrators confirmed that 4 operations were in progress when the earthquake erupted. Despite the chaos, the surgical personnel maintained sterile conditions and patient's stability throughout the shaking. Outpatient services at the facility have since resumed. The gripping hospital footage offers a glimpse into the broader devastation that hit southwestern Kumamoto Prefecture on July the 28th. The powerful earthquake killed at least 39 people and caused extensive structural damage to thousands of residential homes and public buildings across the region. Humanitarian efforts remain underway across the prefecture. 6,500 displaced residents are still staying in temporary evacuation centers as local officials inspect infrastructure safety, clear the debris, and work to fully restore utility services. Neon-lit streets in Chongqing of China have become a growing attraction for tourists looking to recreate the city's popular cyberpunk motorcycle videos. As night falls, the sound of motorcycle engines fills the streets while dozens of visitors take turns posing on brightly polished motorbikes for personalized videos and photographs. Teams of vendors offer filming services to tourists, providing motorcycles, protective gear, and camera crews to produce short videos against Chongqing's dense urban skyline and colorful neon lights. The trend has been fueled by viral footage of motorcycles waving through the city's elevated roads and illuminated streets, giving Chongqing a distinctive cyberpunk-style image on social media. Among the visitors was 30-year-old Liu Changqing, who traveled from Shanghai specifically to take part in the experience. Liu said the motorcycle suit was his top priority after arriving in Chongqing, even as he wore a heavy motorcycle jacket in the city's hot and humid weather. The growing demand has created a new tourism-related business for local vendors who are capitalizing on the city's online popularity by offering tourists a chance to become part of the viral motorcycle scenes. A Roman-era shipwreck dating back to between the 2nd and 1st centuries BC has been discovered off the coast of Sicily near Mazzaro del Vallo. Italy's Carabinieri police released footage showing hundreds of ancient amphorae, mainly of the Dress L1 type, scattered across the seabed along with 2 lead anchor stocks. The wreck lies at the depth of around 46 meters and is believed to offer valuable clues about ancient maritime trade in the Mediterranean. Officials said the site was identified during an underwater survey following a report from a private citizen. Archaeologists are now documenting the remains and working to protect the site from looting and damage. Thousands of motorsport fans and vintage car enthusiasts gathered at Brooklands Museum in Surrey, in southwest of London, to mark nearly 100 years since Britain hosted its first Grand Prix. The event commemorated the historic race held on August 7, 1926 at the Brooklands Circuit, widely regarded as one of Britain's most important sites in the history of motor racing. Visitors were able to see a collection of historic racing cars and classic vehicles, while enthusiasts and owners gathered to celebrate Britain's long-standing contribution to international sport. Among the participants was Jolly Ann Harrison, the owner of a 1930s-era or English racing automobiles racing car. He described the event as a celebration of Britain's motorsport heritage and said the country has remained a leader in the sport. The gathering also highlighted the evolution of motor racing from the early days of purpose-built racing cars to the highly advanced technology used in modern Formula One. Organizers said the anniversary event was aimed at preserving the history of British motorsport and connecting younger generation with the country's racing heritage. The centenary-style celebration comes as interest in historic racing and classic cars continues to draw large crowds to events across Britain.
An extreme adventure route at Guyver Cliff is attracting thriller seeker with a challenging combination of steep rock descents, canyon crossings, and waterfalls. The route begins at the top of the cliff where participants descend near vertical rock faces using ropes. The technically demanding sections require experience, balance, and concentration, with some stretches offering little room for secure footing. After reaching the bottom, adventurers continue through a narrow canyon, navigating large rocks and cold water before reaching scenic areas deeper in the valley. The final stage involves climbing through water, completing a demanding circuit that tests participants' strength, endurance, and ability to cope with difficult terrain. Participants describe the route as physically exhausting and highly technical, warning that it should not be attempted without proper training and experience. They said the descent requires complete focus, while another described the route as extremely difficult because of the steep climbs and freezing water. Another participant said the combination of physical effort, depth, and adrenaline makes the experience worthwhile despite pushing the limits of endurance.
One of the world's best-known ballet classics, Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, has been given a new interpretation in Hanoi, with dancers from different generations sharing the stage. The production was staged by the Vietnam Youth Ballet Center and brought together 43 dancers ranging in age from 7 to 40. The performance retained the core story and the spirit of the classic work while introducing a more contemporary approach to choreography, movement, and stage presentation. Program director and artist Dam Han Jiang said the production aimed to present Swan Lake in a brighter and more modern style while allowing dancers of different ages to contribute their own energy and emotion. The cast included experienced performers alongside youth dancers with roles requiring technical precision, physical strength, and a strong dramatic expression. Dancers also faced different technical challenges while preparing for the production, including demanding movements and contrasting roles such as the gentle white swan and more intense black swan. The performance highlighted the development of ballet in Vietnam and the growing involvement of younger generations in the art form. Hundreds of colorful kites filled the skies over Colombo as Sri Lanka hosted its International Kite Festival, bringing together more than 1,500 local kite flyers and 80 international enthusiasts from 30 countries. The festival transformed the city's skyline into a display of colorful and creatively designed kites, attracting participants and spectators from across Sri Lanka and abroad. International kite flyers showcased different designs and flying techniques, while local participants joined the event to celebrate the traditional and recreational side of kite flying. Organizers said the festival is aimed at strengthening cultural exchange and promoting Sri Lanka as a vibrant tourism destination. The event also provided an opportunity for international visitors to experience Sri Lankan culture while highlighting the country's potential as a destination for tourism, recreation, and large-scale cultural events. Inside the quiet courtyard of Baber Mahal, colors seem to breathe on their own. This is Siddharth Art Gallery, home to some of Nepal's most defining contemporary art movements. Today, the gallery opens its doors to Mithila Cosmos, a universe imagined through the brush of artist S.C. Suman, a name inseparable from the evolution of gallery space.
म आफ्नो बच्चैदेखि हजुरआमालाई हेर्दै थिएँ यो भित्तामा उहाँ कोर्नुहुन्थ्यो अब भित्तामा कोर्दै जाँदाखेरि उहाँलाई हेर्दै आएँ र त्यसपछि म बच्चै बालकालदेखि नै स्कुल जाँदा अनि फुलहरू हेर्दा मलाई हजुरआमाले पेन्टिङ गर्नुहुन्छ त्यसमा रङ बनाउनुहुन्छ भनेर म उहाँको लागि बाटोमा खसेका फुलहरू ल्याएर उहाँलाई दिन्थेँ र उहाँलाई भन्थे कि ल यसबाट पनि रङ बनाउनुस् यसबाट पनि पेन्टिङ गर्नुस् अनि यो कुरा मलाई एकदम सहजै प्र्याक्टिसमा आएको जस्तो लाग्यो र उहाँको पछि उहाँ भित्ताहरू रङाउँदाखेरि पेन्टिङहरू गर्दाखेरि म उहाँलाई छोडेर कतै जाँदैनथेँ र मलाई पनि काम गर्न दिनुहोस् भनेर उहाँ कहिलेकाहीँ दिक पनि मान्नुहुन्थ्यो कति मलाई माने यो डिस्टर्ब गरेको तिमी जाऊ खेल भनेर त्यही पनि म उहाँसँग बस्थेँ अब उहाँले त्यही पनि उहाँको म बसिरहन्थेँ उहाँले चाहिँ साइडमा कुनै कुनामा एउटा सानो चित्र बनाइदिनुहुन्थ्यो र यसमा तिमी रङ भर भन्नुहुन्थ्यो अनि म छिटो रङ भर्थेँ अनि उहाँले आश्चर्य भन्नुहुन्थ्यो हेर कति मभन्दा पनि राम्रो रङ भर्दो रहेछ भनेर अनि यसरी मलाई चाहिँ मिथिला पेन्टिङले नजिक ल्यायो र म त्यो फेरि त्यो गर्न थालेँ.
What we see today is not just an exhibition, it is a lived memory of culture, philosophy, and the changing world around us.
यसरी प्रत्येक घटनासँग जोडिँदै आएर एक्जिबिसन आएको हो। 2021 मा मिथिला कस्मस द साइकल अफ टाइम आयो। त्यसपछि त्यो 22 मा सक्यो, 22 को जनवरीमा सक्यो। त्यसपछि अहिले आएर यो 25 मा यो एक्जिबिसन आयो। त्यो बीचको जुन अब फेरि यसलाई कसरी जोड्ने त, अब जस्तो कि नेपाल एकाडेमी अफ फाइन आर्ट्समा म काउन्सिल मेम्बर हुँदाखेरि मैले आफ्नो देशको लोककलाहरूलाई हेर्न पाएँ। म लोककला विभाग प्रमुख थिएँ हैन। अनि त्यो हेर्दै जाँदाखेरि म पूर्वदेखि पश्चिमसम्म, उत्तरदेखि दक्षिणसम्मका त्यो जिल्लाहरू भ्रमण गरेँ। आफ्ना हाम्रा लोककलाहरूलाई हेरेँ। हाम्रो भनिन्छ हाम्रो देशमा 123 126 वटा भाषा बोलिन्छ। त्यसका आफ्ना संस्कृति छन्, आफ्ना चाहिँ रीतिथिति छन्। त्यसभित्रका कलाहरू मैले हेर्न पाएँ र त्यो सबैलाई जोड्दै जाँदाखेरि एउटा आर्टिस्टले कसरी त्यो प्रभावित पार्दो रहेछ र त्यो स्टुडियोमा काम गर्दाखेरि त्यो एलिमेन्टहरू हेर्नु र त्यो एलिमेन्टलाई आफ्नो पेन्टिङमा चाहिँ समावेश गर्नु, यो सहज रूपमा त्यो हुँदै जान्छ र यो सो ल्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ तलको तल्लामा हामी चाहिँ हेर्छौँ क्यानभास वर्कहरू छ। त्यसमा देवी कथा छन्, गीताका सार छन्, जीवनका त्यो कथाहरू छन् र त्यसमाथिमा आउँदाखेरि उपत्यकाका कथा छन्। त्यसपछि जनकपुरको रामायण र अयोध्याको कथाहरू छ, रामायणसँग जोडिएको कथा छ। त्यसपछि बौद्ध कथाहरू आएका छन्। त्यो सिरिजहरूलाई कसरी एक ठाउँमा हामी कसरी विभिन्न जाति समुदायहरू एउटा साझा फुलबाडी हो, त्यसभित्रका संस्कृतिका कुराहरू, त्यसभित्रका कुराहरू मैले ल्याउँदाखेरि मलाई त्यो आफैसँग आफूलाई परिचय गराउनु जस्तो र त्यो मैले कलाको माध्यमबाट बुझेर म यो कुरालाई म आफ्ना नयाँ पुस्ताहरूसम्म पनि यो चाहिँ यसरी हो हाम्रो देश। यो मिथिला पेन्टिङ भनेको एउटा समुदाय, क्षेत्र समुदायको विशेषको पेन्टिङ होइन, यो नेपाली आर्ट हो। यदि मिथिला पेन्टिङको नेपाली कलाको कुरा गरेँ भने मिथिला पेन्टिङलाई छोडेर त्यो नेपाली आर्ट पुरा हुँदैन भनेर मेरो बुझाइमा मैले यसरी यो एक्जिबिसनले ल्याएको।
Mithila art carries centuries of tradition from Janakpur, from mythological narratives and wedding symbols to intricate floral motifs that speak of life, devotion, and identity. The power of Mithila painting lies in its detail. Every line, every border, every color has a purpose.
के हुन्छ कलाकारले जब घुम्छ ऊ चाहिँ ट्राभल गर्छ, चाहे त्यो देश विदेशको यात्रा होस्, चाहे आफ्नो विषयवस्तु खोजी हिँड्छ र उसले अनुकरण गर्ने क्षमता मलाई लाग्छ उसँग धेरै हुन्छ। उसको दिमागमा त्यो कुराहरू आइरहेको हुन्छ क्या, त्यो आइरहेको र त्यो कतै न कतै कुरामा बसिरहेको हुन्छ। अब जब स्टुडियोमा बिस्तारै काम गर्दै जाँदाखेरि एउटा आर्टवर्कसँग करिब करिब 1 सप्ताह उसले बिताउँछ, चाहे 15 दिनसम्म बिताउँछ त्यो विषयवस्तु र त्यसका त्यो फ्रेम अब्जेक्टहरूमा बिताउँछ र त्यसपछि त्यसको दिमाग त खाली हुँदैन, ऊ सोचिरहन्छ र सोचेर त्यो बिताएका क्षणहरूमा उसले चाहिँ आफ्नो कलाहरूमा त्यसलाई चाहिँ प्रस्कृत गर्दै जान्छ र त्यो अनुभव बटुलेका चिजहरूलाई उसले चाहिँ त्यतिखेर सम्झँदै उसले चाहिँ केही सम्झना आउँछ र केही नयाँ चिज ल्याउँछ। पहिलो एक्जिबिसनहरू गर्दाखेरि त्यो छडिएको हुन्थ्यो जस्तो विभिन्न पेन्टिङहरूलाई ल्याएर एकै ठाउँमा गएर त्यसमा एक्जिबिसन गरिएको जस्तो हुन्थ्यो। त्यसपछि के भयो भने मेरो पहिलो मिथिला सोलो एक्जिबिसनको टाइटल पनि म्याथली आर्ट थियो। त्यसपछि म्याथली आर्ट लिभिङ ट्रेडिसन भनेर आयो। त्यसरी जबसम्म त्यो म्याच्योर हुँदै जान्छ कलाकारले 1-2 स्टेपहरू हुन्छन् त्यो एक्जिबिसनहरूको, त्यसले अनुभव पनि बटुल्छ र बटुल्दै जाँदाखेरि भ्युअर्सहरूसँग भेट्छ, जर्नलिस्टहरू भेट्छ, क्रिटिक्सहरूसँग भेट्दै जाँदाखेरि त्यसको निखार आउँदै जान्छ, साधनाको निखार आउँदै जान्छ र त्यो चाहिँ विषयवस्तुसँग जोडिँदै जान्छ र आज आएर यो फ्रेममा चाहिँ हामी हेर्न पाउँछौँ।
Art becomes complete only when someone responds to it. In this gallery, every viewer sees something different. A memory, a symbol, a question, a reminder. What do the visitors find in this universe of Mithila?
Well, as an academician, I feel that Mithila painting is like a healing process to people. And this exhibition has expressed itself in a very beautiful way, expressing each and every motive which is present over here related to not only mythology but also related to emotions of the people. And it is like a story work over here. The entire journey of Mithila has been depicted over here, which speaks volumes not only about the artist but also about each and every object which has been portrayed over here.
Walking through these halls feels like traveling between timelines. The ancient and the modern coexist. Tradition is not frozen in the past. It evolves through those who carry it forward.
We feel like connected to Sumanji's works because he takes approach that's quite respectful, quite engaging and contemplative, and someone who speaks with contemplation, someone who prefers to remain in a discipline and work from the frame of that discipline. He had chosen the Mithila paintings framework, and he remains in that framework, and he stretches, expands the framework and develops narrative power, descriptive power, that communicative power with that frame, and that's something amazing.
It may appear abstract at first glance, but spend a moment longer and stories begin to unfold of gods and goddesses, rituals and seasons, and the subtle emotions of everyday life. And within this rich visual grammar, Suman adds his own world, shaped by places he has lived, moments he has witnessed, and the history that surrounds him.
He was among the first generation artists of Mithila art. When he started his career from the kind of humble background he was in, with that financial background, very few people could actually make art and Mithila art in particular their primary career. So that is what separates him from other artists in that regard. However, I will also admit that a lot of other artists have also put in their contribution in the upliftment of Mithila art, and Mithila art has grown due to the collective effort of a lot of people.
From Vivaha Panchami in Janakpur to the lotus of Bodhanath, from the cosmic churn of Samudra Manthan to the silence of COVID lockdowns, Suman brings time onto canvas. His lines become memory, his colors become testimony.
Yeah, there are many favorites. You can see that. If you see that, there are each painting says some story. Like this is the, if you see this, you have the wedding, Sita, Mata Sita wedding with the Ram. There's the procession going on, and every painting you will see that there are the nature. The S.C. Suman painting is the nature he captures very nicely. The color combination you will find very rare artists. That type of eye-catching is that one. Many things are within the one paintings.
Mithila Cosmos reminds us that art is not only what we see, it is what we feel, return to, and carry within ourselves.
I have grown in a Mithila household. I've been very closely connected to the Mithila culture. I have been seeing Mr. Suman's exhibitions since a long time, and this is one of the third or fourth exhibition of his that I've been attending. So yeah, that I obviously know about what kind of paintings he does and what time does he conducts his exhibitions. So this is exactly how I found that he was gonna do an exhibition this year as well.
Has a similar sort of providing blessing sort of artwork in the form of like a lakudwa, which like exists in a door frame. So what he's done in that specific piece is behind a lakudwa is a cobra painting, so like a wedding specific painting. So he's combined these two cultures as part of his, and it's part of his own narrative because he moved from Janakpur to Nepal, so that's what he was trying to convey, the mixing of these two cultures. So yeah, I think the mixing and, you know, like venturing out of your own home place, which is very common these days, and traveling and seeing the world, I think that's yeah, that's I think the contemporary connection.
Behind every exhibition is a vision that guides how artworks converse with space and audience. Curator Sangeeta Thapa has been a key voice in shaping Nepal's modern and contemporary art landscape.
His first exhibition, Mithila Cosmos, began in 2007, and what we have been seeing is that he is really celebrating the art forms of the Mithila world, along with the myths and legends of the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and this is something that we see all throughout the different editions of the Mithila Cosmos journey that he has with the Siddharth Art Gallery. This is his 7th show, and we decided to call it Journey of a Pilgrim because the piety in the exhibition is very apparent, and his knowledge of the Ramayana or the Mahabharata, the myths and legends that we have grown up listening to and learning about, become central to his work. But Sumanji is also talking not only about Mithila art, he's from the Tarai, so he brings in elements from Tharu, Dusad, Salish, different forms of art form from indigenous communities in the Tarai, and he amalgamates it and he really makes it his own. Perhaps the most significant work in this show is called Samudra Manthan, and this is a story which has been visually narrated by so many artists, from Raja Ravi Varma to early 19th century engravings, but he has even amalgamated a Hakusai wave into this art form. So that is a really famous painting, The Wave, and you can see that influence has permeated his wave, his painting. Sumanjiko themes are not only religious, so whether it is the eco-anxiety that we all feel at present, the destruction of Nizgar forest or the Chure hills, he amalgamates all of that. During COVID, he had a specific work which he, asked the question, why were bats blamed for spreading COVID in the world? I mean, was the virus man-made? So his belief in nature, the natural cosmology of the world, is something that you will see over and over again in his paintings.
As visitors step out, the colors remain. In imagination, in reflection, and perhaps in rediscovering where heritage meets the present.
The country wakes up with the first touch of sunlight kissing the Antudara in eastern Nepal. Antudara in Ilam district is the pride of Kosi province. Nepal's eastern Kosi province spreads across 26,000 square kilometers and has 14 districts. Taplejung, Pastar, Ilam, Jhapa, Sangkhwasava, Terathum, Dhankuta, Morang, Sunsari, Solukhumbu, Bhojpur, Udaipur, Khotang and Okhaldunga make Kosi province. Though the province is an ethnic mix, the predominant inhabitants are Brahmin, Kshetri, Tamang, Sherpa, Rai and Limbu. Kosi province, with the capital Viratnagar, is geographically very diverse. The province boasts the highest peak in the world, Mount Everest, to the lowest land in the country, Kechana Kabul. The local lifestyle and landscape of Namche Bazaar, the gateway to Mount Everest, Lukla Bazaar and Everest Base Camp are incredible. Over 24 mountain peaks above 7,000 meters, including the Kanchenjunga, Makalu, Varun, Lhotse, Choyu, Tuplase, in addition to the Mount Everest, make the roof of the province. The potential of tourism in the province is also as high as the Mount Everest. Country's largest Saptakosi, along with Mechi, Arun, Tamor, Kankai, Likhu are the major rivers in the province. These rivers are the lifeline of the people since time immemorial. Recently started motorboat on the Koshi River is opening doors for tourism while easing the life of the locals at the same time. Situated at just 70 meters above the sea level, Kechana Kabul in Jhapa is the lowest point in the country. This place of national importance needs more promotion, and expectedly some programs are being undertaken. The world-renowned Kosi Tapu Wildlife Reserve, Sagarmatha National Park, Makalu Varun National Park and Kanchenjunga Conservation Area are some of the major attractions in Kosi province. These protected and conserved areas serve as the museum for those interested in wildlife, flora and fauna, wetlands and biodiversity. The number of people thronging Antudara in Ilam around the calendar to watch the sunrise is increasing by the day. The symmetrical tea gardens of Kanyam cannot be described in words. Prosperity along with natural beauty is the speciality of the province. No foreign or domestic tourist returns disappointed from this place. Mai Pokhari and Sandakpur in Ilam are some of the other destinations for tourists. Sandakpur is probably the only place in Asia from where one can enjoy the panoramic view of around 60 mountain peaks. Ilam also is famous for its organic produces, including allo or the giant nettle, milk, broomgrass, red hot chili, and cardamom. The hill station or Bhedetar along the border of Sunsari and Dhankuta, Namaste waterfall in Dhankuta, Hile Bazaar, and Todke waterfall are some of the other destinations for tourists. The 90 feet tall Namaste waterfall, just 10 kilometers away from Bhedetar, is attracting many tourists of late. TMZ or Tinjure, Milne and Jaljala area in Therathum is branded as the capital of rhododendron. The area boasts 28 species of the national flower. This area also generates interest among explorers and researchers. The 365-meter tall Hathung waterfall is the tallest in Asia and the pride of Nepal. Kosi province is ahead in terms of infrastructures and facilities. Standard hotels are found in almost all places in this province. The province has 11 domestic airports. Most of the destinations are accessible and connected by highways and roads. The Pathivara temple, situated at 3,794 meters above the sea level, is the combination of spirituality, natural beauty, and tourism. This is one destination in every Nepali's bucket list. The blooming rhododendrons in the spring and snow-white terrain in winter keep the tourism interest alive around the year. There are many other similar religious sites in
Kosi province,
Halesi Mahadev Temple and the Basaha Cave of Khotan. Buddha Subba Temple in Dharan of Sunsari. Barha Kshetra of Sunsari. Mini Pathivara of Vilam. Arjundhara of Jhapa of the Mahabharata myth. The Taksar Bazaar of Bhojpur is another destination not to be forgotten in the list of tourism destinations in the province. History dates the first minted Nepali coins in this place. Those copper coins are still found in Taksar. The small hamlet is a perfect destination to see the Eastern Nepali lifestyle.
Kosi province
is equally rich in its unique culture and traditions. In addition to the major festivals celebrated by the Brahmins and the Chetris, different ethnic groups like Tamangs, Sherpas and Magars rejoice in Losar. The Shabru dance of the Sherpas, a special ritual in Losar, is internationally renowned. The Udoli and Uvoli of the Rise and the Dhan dance have their own religious and scientific importance. The Tarai Plain of Province 1 is the breadbasket of Nepal. The fertile soil is perfect for agriculture. Tea gardens from the lowland of Japa to the height of Solukhumbu are some of the major cash crops here. These tea gardens also attract numerous tourists in the region. Province 1 is definitely a museum for tourism. The natural beauty, religious heritages, abundance of natural resources, cultural diversity, and many more. Each and every hamlet and settlement, hills and mountains, rivers and ravines in the province have their own unique identity and speciality.
Nepal's festivals are like colors on a canvas. Communities celebrate occasions that are as diverse as the country itself. These festivals hold deep personal meaning for individuals, going far beyond mere celebration. They are not just events. They are emotional, cultural, and spiritual lifelines that nurture identity, community, and inner happiness. For Nepalis, every festival, whether it honors gods, ancestors, nature, or the cycle of seasons, is ultimately a celebration of life itself. Birth, life, and death are all celebrated with utmost joy and separate rituals as per the communities. It's a reminder that life, like the changing seasons, is full of both light and shadow, and each festival teaches to embrace both with gratitude.
हरेक चाडपर्वमा एउटा एउटा हैन धान रोप्दाखेरि खेतमा हामी पूजा गरेर हुन्छौं धान थन्काउँदा हामीले हवन गरेर हुन्छौं नुहाई खाने भनेर भनिन्छ नवान्न प्राशनको विधानहरू छुट्टै छ त्यो सम्पूर्ण कुराहरूले हाम्रो प्रकृतिमा पनि त्यति नै सुप्रभाव पार्छ र मान्छेको शरीरमा मनमा र आत्मासम्म पनि यसले सुप्रभाव पार्छ आनन्द दिन्छ सत र चित राम्रो आनन्द र चिरकालसम्म रहने टिकाउ आनन्द दिन्छ भन्ने मान्यताले गर्दाखेरि यो सबै चाडपर्वहरू हामी मनाइरहेका हुन्छौँ।
Major Hindu celebrations like Dasai and Tihar unite families in devotion and joy and is celebrated by majority of Nepalis. While Buddha Jayanti, Loshar, Sakela Udhauli, Shakela Ubhauli, Maghi Shankranti or Maghi showcase the spiritual and cultural vibrancy of Buddhist, Kirat and indigenous communities. Festivals such as Indrazatra, Gaizatra and Yomari Punhi blend history with celebration. For women, Tees and Rishi Panchami serve as expressions of faith and sisterhood. And in the Tarai, Chhat embodies purity, discipline and devotion to the sun and nature.
भौगोलिक हिसाबले सानो भइकन फेरि कस्तो भने जात जातिको हिसाबले पनि थुप्रै ट्राइबहरू भएको यो सबै एउटै जातिको मात्रै छैन तर हामी का धार्मिक सहिष्णुता छ रिलिजियस टलरेन्स भन्छौं त्यो विश्वलाई हामीले दिएको एउटा उदाहरण हो हामी का हिन्दूहरुको चाडपर्व पनि बौद्धहरुले पनि मनाउँछन् इस्लामहरुले पनि मनाइराखेका हुन्छन् नितान्त हिन्दूहरुको जस्तो लक्ष्मी पूजाको कुरा गर्यो दशैंकी कुरा गर्यो यहाँ राष्ट्र प्रमुखहरु भएको बेलामा हिन्दूहरु बाहेक अन्य धर्मावलम्बीहरु पनि टीका थाप्नलाई हामीका आशीर्वाद लिने चलन छ त्यो लिनलाई गइराखेका हुन्छन्.
Festivals here reflect its rich cultural diversity and deep sense of community. Shared laughter, music and rituals foster emotional healing and strengthen social bonds. Experts say gatherings and celebrations nurture positivity, hope and meaning.
यो त एकदमै ठूलो कस्तो कुरा रहेछ भने यो रिचार्ज गर्ने भन्छ भने हामी गरिरहेको परम्पराबाट गरिरहेको यस्ता कार्यहरू गर्दा चाहिँ हामीमा के हुन्छ त स्वतस्फूर्त रूपमा हामी चाहिँ नि एकदम फेरि अब हामीलाई एउटा भित्रबाट पनि शान्ति मिल्छ सुख मिल्छ त्यसकारण यो चाहिँ आवश्यकै चीज हो.
Amid modernization, festivals remain vital anchors connecting people to their culture and roots. The togetherness of families, the glow of butter lamps in monasteries during Loshar, and the rhythm of dhime drums in Nevari processions all tell the same story. Nepal is a land where festivals are the very heartbeat of its people.
Nepal's PM meets Indian and Chinese ambassadors separately. Talks focus on strengthening bilateral ties, cooperation and mutual interests. Nepal's foreign minister says government to review treaties and agreements as needed, adds Nepal's national interests to be kept at the center. Nepal's finance minister holds talks with representatives of 20 multinational companies, says partnership between government and private sector should be further strengthened. Community Forest Day being marked today, stress laid on promoting community forest as basic of green economy, employment and income generation. At least 26 killed after 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit Colombia. Tremors felt across neighboring Venezuela, Ecuador and Panama as well. And Sandeep Lamichhane replaces Rohit Paudel as Nepal's ODI captain to lead Nepal in the upcoming ACC Premier Cup. Hello there, I am April Singh Lama and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah held separate courtesy meetings with the Indian and Chinese ambassadors to Nepal today, with discussions focused on strengthening bilateral ties, development cooperation and areas of mutual interest. During the meeting with Indian Ambassador Navin Srivastava, Prime Minister Shah stressed the need to further deepen the historic ties between the two countries, while Ambassador Srivastava pledged continued efforts to strengthen bilateral cooperation. Later in the meeting with Chinese Ambassador to Nepal, Zhang Maoming, discussions focused on strengthening Nepal-China relations, expanding cooperation in various fields, and enhancing development partnership. Prime Minister Shah on the occasion also emphasized the need to deepen historical ties and cooperation in areas of common interest, while Ambassador Maoming pledged continued efforts to strengthen bilateral relations and cooperations. Nepal's Foreign Minister Shishir Khanal has said the government will review, amend or renew bilateral and multilateral treaties and agreements as necessary, keeping Nepal's national interests at the center. Speaking in the House of Representatives today, Minister Khanal said such reviews would be carried out in line with international law and diplomatic practice, with the consent of concerned parties and international organizations. He said relevant ministries are currently reviewing treaties and agreements under their jurisdiction.
नेपाल सरकार पक्ष रहेको सन्धिको संरक्षण र व्यवस्थापन सम्बन्धमा प्रचलित कानूनको स्पष्ट व्यवस्था छ। नेपाल सन्धि ऐन 2047 बमोजिम परराष्ट्र मन्त्रालयले नेपाल सरकारको तर्फबाट सन्धि वार्ता, कूटनीतिक सम्पर्क र अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय तहमा सन्धि सम्बन्धी कार्यहरू सम्पादन गर्दछ। विगतदेखि नै नेपाल सरकार कार्यविभाजन नियमावली बमोजिम सन्धि, सम्झौता तथा तिनको अभिलेख सम्बन्धी कार्य कानून, न्याय तथा संसदीय मामिला मन्त्रालयको कार्यक्षेत्रभित्र पर्दछन्। त्यस्तै अभिलेख संरक्षण ऐन 2046 बमोजिम राष्ट्रिय महत्त्वका ऐतिहासिक दस्तावेजहरूको दीर्घकालीन संरक्षण र व्यवस्थापनको जिम्मेवारी राष्ट्रिय अभिलेखालयलाई दिएको छ। सोको लागि सम्बन्धित कार्यालयले नेपाल पक्ष भएको कार्यालयसँग सम्बन्धित सन्धि सम्झौताको प्रमाणित प्रति राष्ट्रिय अभिलेखालयमा पठाउने व्यवस्था समेत रहेको छ।
Nepal's Finance Minister Dr. Swarnim Wagle has said protecting authorized investment, assets and income generated in a valid way is the major responsibility of the government. During discussions with representatives from 20 large taxpayers at the Finance Ministry today, the minister said the government stands with them, urging them to further explore the investment scope, bring about more new products and introduce more new technologies in Nepal. Finance Minister Dr. Wagle also pledged to establish a response desk in the ministry to address concerns raised by the investment communities. He also said the partnership between the government and the private sector needs to be further strengthened, expressing confidence that the coming decade will be marked by greater investment, production, employment and confidence in Nepal. Nepal's community forestry program has transformed once barren hills into dense forests and become a globally recognized conservation model. As Community Forestry Day 2026 is observed, Experts say the focus should now shift toward creating jobs, boosting production, and increasing local incomes. Since its launch in 1973, community forestry has expanded nationwide, with 23,088 community forests now covering more than 46% of Nepal's land area. Experts say better management, simpler procedures, and stronger government coordination could raise forestry's contribution to 5 to 10% of GDP. We will bring you a detailed report on success of Nepal's community forests in our segment Issue of the Day later in the bulletin. Moving on, at least 26 people have died after a powerful magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck western Colombia, according to local officials. The earthquake hit at 7:34 p.m. local time on Monday at a depth of about 107 kilometers, the U.S. Geological Survey said. The epicenter was located near San Jose del Palma in the Choco region. Strong shaking was reported across Colombia and was also felt in neighboring Venezuela, Ecuador and Panama. The earthquake comes less than 2 months after two major quakes struck parts of Venezuela, killing more than 6,100 people. In other news, the Cricket Association of Nepal, CAN, has appointed leg spinner Sandeep Lamichhane as the new captain of Nepal's men's ODI team, replacing Rohit Paudel. Lamichhane will lead Nepal at the upcoming ACC Premier Cup, scheduled to begin in Malaysia on August 30th. The decision comes after Nepal's disappointing performance in the recently concluded ICC Cricket World Cup League 2 in the Netherlands. With the change, Paudel has lost the captaincy of both Nepal's ODI and T20I teams. CAN had previously handed the T20I captaincy to Dipender Singh Eri. Now, Nepal's community forests have helped turn once bare hillsides into thriving green landscapes. But can these forests now create more jobs, businesses and income for the communities protecting them? More on this after the break. You're watching NTV World News Hour with April Lagising Lama. Welcome back. Nepal's Minister for Agriculture, Forest and Environment, Geeta Chaudhary, has stressed on the need of promoting the community forest as important basis of green economy, employment generation and local income earning, stating that the time has come to put into practice the concept of Hariyo Ban, Nepalko Dhan, or green forests are Nepal's asset. Minister Chaudhary mentioned that the economic benefits from forests can reach local communities through forest-based industries, herbal processing, ecotourism and carbon credit trading.
वातावरणीय पर्यटन र प्रकृतिमा आधारित उद्यमको विकास मार्फत स्थानीय समुदायको आय आर्जन वृद्धिको बारेमा सहयोग पुर्याउने युवा, महिला, दलित, आदिवासी जनजाति र विभिन्न समुदायको अर्थपूर्ण सहभागिता नेतृत्वलाई थप सुदृढीकरण गर्दै
Nepal's once barren hillsides have been transformed into thriving forests thanks to the community forestry program that has been hailed around the world as an exemplary conservation model. But as Community Forestry Day 2026 is observed, the challenge is now to turn that success into greater production, jobs and income for the communities protecting these forests. Diksha Awasthi with Pramila Bhandari brings more.
The concept of community-based forest management began in 1973 in Nepal. As a result, hillsides and slopes that were once barren have now been transformed into dense forest areas covering over 46% of the total country. The campaign, which began in the then Thokarpa village panchayat of Sindhupalchok, has now grown into a nationwide movement with 23,088 community forests currently operating across the country. In addition, more than 8,700 leasehold forests, 33 collaborative forests, buffer zone community forests, and forest management groups are also actively involved in forest management. Community forests have contributed not only to biodiversity conservation but also to the livelihoods of local communities. User groups and local residents earn income through the use and sale of firewood, fodder, timber, and non-timber forest products. However, community forests have yet to generate benefits at the expected level compared to private forests. Experts suggest that community forests should no longer be limited to conservation alone, but should also be linked with sustainable forest product production and processing, job creation, and local enterprises. Despite the success, community forestry activists say they are now facing new challenges and problems. A large proportion of Nepal's population is still directly involved in various forms of forest management. Experts say that if Nepal's forests are managed more effectively, the sector could contribute 5 to 10% of the country's gross domestic product, benefiting not only the general public but the national economy as a whole. For this to happen, experts say technical and administrative procedures must be simplified, while effective coordination among the federal, provincial, and local governments must be maintained.
A community forest in eastern Nepal has won national recognition not just for protecting its trees, but for using its income to support education, infrastructure, tourism, and vulnerable families. Bijeta Bhandari, along with our correspondent Dikesh Lama, brings a report.
A community forest in eastern Nepal has won the National Ganesh Man Singh Community Forest Award after being recognized for work that goes well beyond conservation. The Basanta Hariyali Community Forest in Letang Municipality, Ward number 9 of Morang District in eastern Nepal, covers 338 hectares and serves 535 households with more than 1,700 community forest users. It was previously named the best community forest in Morang district before receiving the national honor.
हल चाहिँ एउटा समुदायको हितको निमित्त पनि प्रयोग गर्न सकिने उद्देश्य राखेर यो हल बनाइएको छ। यहाँ सुपारी खेती आम्दानीको लागि चाहिँ एउटा बलियो जग सधैँ रुखै मात्रै काटेर बेच्ने भन्ने कुरा उपयुक्त हुँदैन। पर्यावरणलाई वातावरणलाई त्यसले चाहिँ ठुलो असर पुर्याउन सक्छ। त्यसैले अन्य आम्दानीका स्रोतहरू पनि निर्माण गर्ने भन्ने खालको चाहिँ लक्ष्य उद्देश्य राखेर समूहले यो काम गरेको छ।
Alongside its conservation work, the Basanta Hariyali Community Forest Consumer Group has purchased more than 1 bigha of land for a local school and helped fund school infrastructure. It also offers free education for daughters and daughter-in-laws of households registered as forest users.
भन्दैछौँ भने हाम्रो जननीका रूपमा बसन्त हरियाली हो, यो विद्यालयको जननीको रूपमा बसन्त हरियाली हो र 9 नम्बरको तत्कालीन 9 नम्बरलाई आमूल परिवर्तन गर्नका लागि बसन्त हरियालीले ठुलो योगदान गरेको छ।
नाजुक अवस्था थियो, त्यही भएर समितिले हामीलाई घर बनाइदिनु भएको।
The consumer group also supports economically disadvantaged families with assistance for building and repairing houses and toilets, provides financial support for funeral rites when a user dies, and also distributes free firewood. Income from the forest has additionally been used to build roads, community buildings, and cremation facilities.
वातावरणको लागि हामीले जडीबुटी जन्य बिरुवाहरू वृक्षारोपण गरेका छौं र पर्यावरण क्षेत्रमा हामीले यो पहिलो हामीले नमुना देखाएका छौं र अर्को कुरा यो खाली जग्गाहरुमा हामीले सबै वृक्षारोपण गर्दै गइरहेका छौं र उपभोक्ताहरुलाई हामीले सकेसम्म सामाजिक विकास र गौरवी न्यूनीकरणमा हामीले प्रत्यक्ष रूपमा हामीले उहाँहरुलाई चाहिँ हामीले सुविधा दिइराखेका छौँ।
The Basanta Haryali Community Forest is now developing wetlands and tourism facilities and has begun planting areca nut, fruit trees and medicinal plants to create additional income sources for the community. The community forest stands out as an exemplary model on how community forestry programs can extend into supporting education, local livelihoods and social welfare alongside their core conservation role.
Nepal's community forestry program serves a model in the global conservation efforts, with local people managing over 2.5 million hectares of forest. The country owes much to these locally formed community forest user groups in boasting over 46% of land covered by forest area today. More than 23,000 such groups are not only helping preserve the biodiversity but also benefiting from the initiative. Here's a report.
Nepal stands out as a global conservation miracle amid global environmental degradation. Over the past 3 decades, the Himalayan nation has transformed denuded hills into lush green landscapes by handing forest management directly back to local communities. According to official Ministry of Forest statistics, over 23,000 community forest user groups now manage 2.5 million hectares of forest land across Nepal. That directly involves 3.2 million households, more than a third of the country's population. Driven by community stewardship, Nepal's forest cover has expanded from under 29% in the late 1980s to over 46% today. The community forest user groups practice natural regeneration and strict social fencing. In another interesting fact, 50% of group members are women. Revenues from sustainable timber and grass cutting directly fund village primary school, drinking water pipelines, and microloans for poverty alleviation. Beyond ecosystem restoration, these forests power sustainable local economies, generating handcrafted lokta paper, essential oils, and eco-tourism. Benefit-sharing mandates allocate at least 35% of forest income specifically for pro-poor community initiatives, lifting marginalized households out of poverty. Yet, significant challenges loom. Expanded forest cover has triggered escalating human-wildlife conflict near populated zones. Simultaneously, youth out-migration leaves many forests undermanaged, while rigid bureaucracy creates a paradox where Nepal imports foreign timber despite having abundant mature trees. Balancing conservation with commercial utilization remains the next frontier for Nepal's pioneering green legacy.
As Nepal's community forests have gained global recognition as a conservation success, we asked the public how we can make better use of these forests to generate greater benefits for local communities. Let's hear what they had to say.
दाउरा तपाईको मर्दा पर्दा निशुल्क रूपमा वितरण दिइरहेको छ हेर्नुस् उपभोक्तालाई। अब कस्तै घर बनाउने आवश्यक छ त्यसमा पनि हामीले वितरण गरिरहेका छौं।
भ्यू टावर निर्माण, तारबार, ट्युबवेल, बोरिङ, जीव जन्तुहरूलाई पानी खानाको लागि सुविधाहरू, अनि त्यसपछि तपाईको पोखरी निर्माण, चराचुरुङ्गीलाई पानी रिचार्ज गर्नलाई त्यो पनि हामीले निर्माण गरेका छौं।
काठ दाउरा मिलत बा, सबका फायदा है। जंगल में मनाए बीड़न करे प्रथा खाना पेड़ पालो मनाए मिल रहा है मन के।
हाम्रो यहाँ वृक्ष रोपर हुँदैछ। पहिला त वृक्ष रोपर थिएन, दाउरा पनि खासै पाइन्थेन। आजभोलि त दाउरा पनि पाइन्छ।
यहाँका कामकाज र क्रियाहरूमा विवाह व्रतबन्धमा काठ दाउराहरू उपलब्ध गराउनुहुन्छ।
उपभोक्ताकै लागि हो यो, हामीले सबै संरक्षण गर्दिनी यहीको उपभोक्तालाई हो।
त्यसमा पुनर्रोपण भइराखेको छ। लगभग करिब 30 हेक्टर चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ वृक्षारोपणको चाहिँ लक्ष्य राखेका छौं।
सामुदायिक वन भनिकन हामीले अनुमति लिएर काठहरू ल्याएर घर बनाउन मजाले पाइएको छ।
कार्ययोजना तोके अनुसारका काठहरू, ढलापडाहरू, सुखरखडा निकालेर प्रयोग गर्ने गरेका छौं।
वनले हामीलाई धेरै चिज दिएको छ र हामीले चाहिँ श्रम गरेर हैन वनमा पनि हामीले धेरै गरेको छौं।
हामीले वनबाट धेरै चिज लिएका छौं र नेपाल सरकारले यो हाम्रो सामुदायिक प्रति लगाएको दोहोरो कर प्रणाली चाहिँ हटाइदिएदेखि हामी सिंगो वन हाकेर हिँड्ने कमिटीदेखि लिएर यहाँका सबै जनताहरू खुसी हुने थियौं।
सामुदायिक वन भए पछाडि चाहिँ हामीले आफूलाई आवश्यकता अनुसार काठ दाउरा घाँसपात सम्पूर्ण प्रशस्त रूपमा पाएका छौँ।
सामुदायिक वन भनेको चाहिँ जन्मदेखि मृत्युसँग काम लाग्ने कुरा हो। सामुदायिक वनले हामीलाई धेरै भन्दा धेरै अथाह मद्दत गरेको छ।
Thousands of devotees have gathered at Pashupatinath temple to mark the final Monday of the Nepali month Shravan despite the rainy weather. With special crowd and security arrangements in place, prayers and rituals have continued smoothly at the temple. More on this on our cover story after a short break. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Time for the cover story. A large number of devotees gathered at Pashupatinath temple in Kathmandu today to mark the final Monday of Shravan, braving inclement weather to offer prayers and worship. According to Pashupati Area Development Trust, special arrangements were made to ensure smooth and orderly worship, while devotees also brought water from Sundari Jal for offerings. The trust, temple security personnel and various police units were deployed to manage crowds and traffic with heightened attention in key areas including Gaushala and Chaba Hill. Similar crowds are also witnessed at Shiva shrines across the country, with devotees gathering in large numbers to offer prayers and perform rituals marking the final Monday of Shravan. What do you do on a special day of the week? Ask Nepali Hindu women. It's time to observe day-long fast even without water to appease Lord Shiva. Every Monday during the month of Shravan, as per lunar calendar, which runs across mid-July to mid-August, women clad in green observe this ritual. Where does the ritual observance evolve from? Diksha Wasti sheds light.
You may be wondering why this time of the year, when the sun is hot and the air is wet, and why Monday did Hindu women choose to observe the special ritual. As per lunar calendar, the month of Shravan is considered as one of the most sacred months in Hindu calendar. According to the legend, Hindu tradition links the month to the story of Samudra Manthan, or the churning of the ocean by Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva drank the deadly poison that emerged from the cosmic ocean along with the potion to save the world. Devotees believe that offering water and milk to Shiva during Shravan helps cool the heat caused by the poison, making the month specially significant for his worship. Then comes Monday. In Hindu tradition, Monday has long been considered as auspicious day for Shiva worship. That is why this weekly observance, the Monday fast known as Shravan Sombar Vart, holds a special place in the tradition. For women, the tradition has another important layer. Popular Hindu tradition connects the practice to goddess Parvati, who is believed to have undertaken intense penance and fasting to attain Shiva as her husband. Over generations, that story became associated with unmarried women fasting for a life partner and married women praying for the health and longevity of their husbands. There is also a beautiful cultural side to Shravan. As the monsoon turns Nepal green, women echo the season with green saris, kurta salwar, green bangles and ornaments, reflecting the greenery of monsoon and a season associated with growth and fertility. And what does science say about this? There is no scientific evidence that Shravan fasting itself has a special religious or health effect, but depending on how it is practiced, fasting can affect the body's metabolism and eating patterns. However, for many women today, the tradition is evolving. Some fast for religious faith, some for personal devotion, and others simply to stay connected with a tradition passed down through generations. So, a Shravan Monday is more than a day of fasting. For millions, it is a day of faith, prayer, and a tradition.
That was the cover story of the day. Now we move ahead with more updates. Lawmakers in today's House of Representatives called on the government to clarify Prime Minister's June 14 statement on the Nepal-India border. Opposition MPs protested at the start of the meeting, while several lawmakers raised concerns about border security, disaster damage, fertilizer shortages, road safety, migrant workers, landless people, prison overcrowding, and other public issues. MPs also urged the government to provide compensation to disaster-affected farmers, ensure regular cooking gas and fertilizer supplies, and address various social and economic problems. Meanwhile, 3 bills were presented in the House. The Employees Provident Fund 10th Amendment Bill 2083 by Finance Minister Sonim Wagle, the Reconciliation 2nd Amendment Bill 2083 by Law Minister Sobita Gautam, and the Child Labour Prohibition and Regulation Bill 2083 by Labour Minister Ramji Yadav. Now, can an individual have pension as well as salary at the same time? Of course, no is the answer, but due to unclear legal provisions, many officials assuming high offices like the chair of constitutional commissions had been drawing both the state facilities. Now the government has initiated the process to amend existing laws governing the remuneration, service conditions and benefits of constitutional officials to end the dual state. Here's a report.
In Nepal, most constitutional bodies are typically headed by retired civil employees. Whether through open competition or government recommendation, the majority of appointees tend to be former state employees. Such individuals, while receiving pensions from their prior government service, also draw salaries and benefits as constitutional officials, resulting in dual facilities from the state treasury. To address this, the government has introduced the First Amendment Bill on remuneration, service conditions and benefits of constitutional officials, which includes provisions to cut off such double benefits. On July 29, the bill was registered in the House of Representatives, approved and then forwarded to the committee for clause-wise discussion. The bill proposes ending the practice of simultaneously receiving both pensions from previous government service and salaries or benefits from constitutional positions. According to its financial commentary, this measure will eliminate overlapping expenses from the state treasury, ensuring no additional financial burden on the government. At the same time, the bill keeps open the option for constitutional officials to add their tenure to their total service period. For this, officials must return the pension received during their constitutional appointment to the Federal Consolidated Fund and submit proof to the relevant authority to count the service period. By ending dual benefits, the proposal is expected to make the remuneration, service duration, and obligations of constitutional officials more systematic and financially responsible.
Now, in an effort to remove Nepali air services from the European Union's aviation safety list, the government has begun preparations to separate regulation and service delivery in the civil aviation sector. Currently, both regulation and service operations are handled by a single authority. The proposed bill suggests creating 2 distinct bodies, one as regulator and the other as service provider. Here's a report.
The government has advanced a new civil aviation bill with the aim of separating the operating and regulatory bodies. The bill, already approved by the Ministry of Finance, is now being prepared for submission to the Ministry of Law for legal opinion and recommendations. Since December 2013, the European Union has kept Nepali air services on its aviation safety list, citing shortcomings in safety standards and regulatory practices. In line with the EU's position that regulation and service provision should not be under the same authority, the government has proposed splitting the current Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal into 2 separate entities. Under the proposal, one body will take responsibility for regulation while the other will handle air service operations and delivery. Their functions, actions, appointments, staffing and benefits will all be distinct. Beyond regulation, the EU has also raised concerns in 8 areas, including pilot and staff licensing, independent and credible investigation of accidents and serious incidents in accordance with ICAO standards.
खासमा टेक्नोक्रेट्स जनशक्ति जति धेरै जसो सर्भिस सेक्टरमा जान्छन् त्यसमा पाइलटदेखि लिएर बर्बतदेखि लिएर कर्मचारीलाई चाहिने के अरे प्यासेन्जर ह्यान्डलिङदेखि लिएर अनेक किसिमका सुविधा हुन्छन् नि त्यो सुविधा हेर्ने भयो सर्भिस सेक्टरको अनि अर्कोतर्फ रेगुलेटरी पार्ट त्यहाँभित्र दिएका सर्भिसहरू नियमसँग ढङ्गबाट भएको छ कि छैन पेसेन्जरहरूको गुनासो सुनवाई चाहिँ नि गरिएको छ कि छैन कुनै दुर्घटना हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ नि या कुनै हवाई सम्बन्धी सर्भिस सम्बन्धी विषयमा कसैले चाहिँ नि यो भएन भन्ने किसिमको कुरा आउँदाखेरि त्यसलाई चाहिँ रेगुलेटरले बेला बेलामा वाच डगको रूपमा हैन उसको चाहिँ एक किसिमको समान लेभलको एउटै अर्गनाइजेसन भए पनि एउटा चाहिँ नि के भन्छ भने ओभरसाइड एजेन्सी जस्तो कारबाही गर्न सक्ने निकायको रूपमा रहँदाखेरि तीभित्र अहिलेको जस्तो स्थिति एउटैमा चाहिँ नि एउटै सेवासँग एउटै करियर सर्भिसभित्र कारबाही गर्नुपर्दा अप्ठ्यारो पनि महसुस हुने र युरोपियन युनियनले पनि यो कुरोलाई चाहिँ गम्भीर रूपमा हेरेको हुँदा यसलाई हामीले विशेष ध्यान दिएर विधेयक हामीले तयार गरेर एकचोटि हैन 3 चोटि गइसक्यो यो तेस्रो पटकको संसदमा पेश गर्ने.
The proposed bill also seeks to redefine passenger rights and compensation. Airlines will be required to provide compensation to passengers in cases of flight cancellations or delays. In the event of a fatal air accident, compensation will be increased from the current $20,000 to a lump sum of $100,000. For injuries or disability, airlines will be obliged to arrange medical treatment. However, the bill specifies that airlines will not be liable to provide compensation if injuries or disability are proven to result from the passenger's own serious negligence or if death or disability is caused by pre-existing serious illness.
Nepal's Education and Sports Minister and government spokesperson Sasmit Pokhrel held discussions with editors and senior journalists on government information flow, education reform and government media relations. At the meeting at the ministry today, Pokhrel said the government was working to make official information more timely, accessible and effective. He said the government was committed to democratic values, good governance and transparency. Editors and journalists urged the government to ensure timely and transparent access to information on the Prime Minister's activities, government decisions and policies. Susta, a border settlement in West Nawalparasi district in Lumbini province, is facing a growing threat from the Narayani River. Floodwaters have triggered rapid erosion along the riverbank, forcing residents to spend days and nights building a temporary embankment to protect their homes and land. Bijata Bhandari, along with our correspondent Bikesh Adhikari, brings more.
The Narayani River has been rapidly eroding the banks of Susta in southern Nepal for years, and the story is no different this monsoon as well. The continuous encroachment of the banks has pushed the human settlement at growing risk, and the locals are working day and night to hold back the floodwaters. Susta lies in West Nawalparasi district of Lumbini province, along the stretch of Narayani River that forms part of the boundary between Nepal and India. About a week ago, as swollen Narayani began moving toward the settlement, men and women from the community have been working almost continuously to build a temporary barrier against the river in the most vulnerable sections. Locals from the Save Susta campaign have also been filling sacks with soil and reinforcing the temporary barrier, but remain uncertain whether it will hold if the river continues to rise.
टूटना शुरू हो गया रात दिन 10 दिन हो गया रातों दिन हम लोग खट रहे हैं यहाँ जनता खट रहा है वो बहुत लोग गरीब आदमी है भूखे मर रहे हैं बाकी अब बचाएं कि अब खाना कैसे करें आप लोग आपके सामने है देख ही रहे हैं कि कैसे बचेगा सुस्ता कैसे नहीं बचेगा वो ही हम लोग लागे हुए हैं.
The urgency is linked to an embankment project that remains only partially complete. Earlier this year, Nepal's federal government committed more than 110 million rupees to build permanent flood protection along the most vulnerable sections of Susta after identifying the settlement as being at serious risk. While one section of the embankment has been completed, work on another critical stretch stalled after the contract was awarded amid objections raised by the Indian side of the border. The Narayani River is now eroding the land most severely at this unfinished section, raising concerns among residents about further damage. After 4 days of working on their own to build a temporary embankment, local residents have now been joined by security personnel and all 3 levels of government in the effort.
132 मिटरको अर्को ठेक्का भएर पनि भारतीय फौजको अरूले काम गर्न नसक्दा त्यही ठाउँबाट अहिले पुरै नदी हाम्रो नदीको धार नै आएपछि यो भूमि कटानको उच्च जोखिममा छ. मलाई खुसी के लाग्छ म हिजोदेखिको राज्यको जुन यहाँ उपस्थिति देखेको छु अहिले सुस्तावासीको दुखमा पुरै राज्यको हरेक शक्ति हरेक निकायहरू लागेको छ. केन्द्रबाट अघि भर्खर विभागबाट त्यो मन्त्रीजीको निर्देशन भएर हाम्रो सिंचाई मन्त्रीको निर्देशन भएर डीडीजी आएर यहाँ एकचोटि अनुगमन गरेर गइसक्नु भयो र केही काम गर्न निर्देशन दिइसक्नु भयो.
Federal and provincial government agencies are also continuing to assist local residents with river control efforts.
आज मात्र हामीले हाम्रो कार्यालयमा यहाँ हाम्रो फोकल पर्सन जयसवालजीले चाहिँ गाडी पठाइसक्नु भएको छ र 100 थान ग्याबिन जाली र 3000 थान बोरा हिजो हामीले ल्याइसकेका छौँ.
यहाँबाट पानी कटान भएर पानी यता पस्न नदिन यो गाउँ बचाउनको लागि चाहिँ के गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर हामी अब सबै हाम्रो संघीय सरकार मार्फत हाम्रो आयोजनाले अब इमर्जेन्सीको लागि यो बोराहरू यो जालीहरू चाहिँ गर्ने हैन भर्ने यहाँ लडाउने रुखहरू काटेर अगाडि राख्ने अब हामीसँग भएको पर्को पानीहरू पनि हामीले अगाडि राखेर चाहिँ हामीले नदीको फ्लोलाई चाहिँ डाइभर्ट गर्ने प्रयास चाहिँ हामीले निरन्तर गरिरहेका छौँ.
Despite all these efforts, residents know that the temporary embankment can only provide limited protection and is not a substitute for the permanent structure that they have been waiting for.
One person has been killed and several others injured while disposing of explosive material at a Nepali army firing range in mountainous district of Rasua. Sonam Gale died before reaching Rasua Hospital, according to Medical Superintendent Dr. Amit Prajapati. 3 injured people were discharged after treatment, while 3 others were airlifted to Kathmandu by a Nepal Army helicopter. 2 injured people reported hearing problems, while others sustained minor to moderate injuries. Before we check more updates, let's have a reminder of our top stories. Nepal's PM meets Indian and Chinese ambassadors separately. Talks focus on strengthening bilateral ties, cooperation and mutual interests. Nepal's foreign minister says government to review treaties and agreements as needed, adds Nepal's national interests to be kept at the center. Nepal's finance minister holds talks with representatives of 20 multinational companies, says partnership between government and private sector should be further strengthened. Community Forest Day being marked today, stress laid on promoting community forest as basic of green economy, employment and income generation. At least 26 killed after 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit Colombia. Tremors also felt across neighboring Venezuela, Ecuador and Panama. And Sandeep Lamichhane replaces Rohit Paudel as Nepal's ODI captain to lead Nepal in the upcoming ACC Premier Cup. Police in India have fired tear gas shells on protesters demanding reforms to recruitment exams in the eastern state of Jharkhand. Thousands of students, job seekers and volunteers have been trying to reach the state's assembly in the capital city of Ranchi to register their protest. The protesters have been demonstrating for over 2 weeks now, demanding an overhaul of Jharkhand's government exam system. Police said most protesters had been peaceful, but accused a smaller group of breaking through barricades and throwing stones at officers. The world's oceans hit their hottest ever recorded temperatures for July, partly fueled by developing El Niño conditions in the Pacific, according to the EU's Climate Monitoring Service. The average sea surface temperature (SST) outside the world's polar regions between 60 degrees north and 60 degrees south was 20.96 degrees Celsius last month, beating the previous heat of 20.89 degrees Celsius set in 2023. Last month was the joint second warmest July globally on record, with temperatures 1.47 degrees Celsius above the estimated pre-industrial average. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather.
A prolonged heat wave in South Korea is driving up prices of vegetables and other food products, raising concerns that extreme weather could put further pressure on consumer prices. The price increases have raised concerns over so-called heatflation caused by extreme heat damaging the crops, livestock and aquaculture. More than 900,000 livestock deaths have been reported to disaster insurance this summer, mainly involving chickens and dogs, while more than 860,000 farmed fish have died due to high water temperatures. However, South Korea's Agriculture and Oceans Ministry said the losses represent only a small share of total stocks and are unlikely to significantly affect overall food supplies or the prices. Chinese motorcycle maker JX Motor has doubled its workforce and ramped up production as orders for its flagship 820RR superbike surge following a major racing victory. The 133 horsepower motorcycle has attracted strong demand since JX Motor won at the Super Sport World Championship in March, pushing the 2-year-old company to operate its production lines around the clock. The increase in orders underscores the growing international market for Chinese-made high-performance motorbikes and marks a rapid expansion for JX Motor, which was just founded 2 years ago. Microsoft is planning to unveil its new Maya 300 AI chip this season, potentially as soon as next month. The company introduced its Maya AI chip in November 2023 but has lagged rivals such as Alphabet and Amazon in scaling up its in-house chip efforts as it seeks to reduce its reliance on NVIDIA's costly processors. Google began recognizing revenue from direct sales of its custom AI chips called Tensor Processing Units in the quarter ended June, while Amazon has been seen growing adoption of its processors, including Trainium chips.
Time for sports update. Nepal's Shekhar Thapa has won a bronze medal at the 11th Asian ITF Taekwondo Championship in Ulaanbaatar of Mongolia. Thapa finished third in the men's black belt third pattern category alongside Mongolia's Jorpalam Ayurzanam. Malaysia's Chin Lungkang won gold, while Philippines' Amais Krister Lu took silver, according to Gam Bahadur Thapa, General Secretary of the Nepal International Taekwondo Federation. Now, a local football academy in cooperation with the Amputee Football Federation has held a training session for children who lost limbs during the war in Gaza. The session was held on the academy's grass field and was open to both boys and girls. Organizers said the initiative aims to support children with amputations through sports and help them regain confidence. The program also seeks to promote social inclusion and help injured children reintegrate into the community. Now the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. Now, before wrapping up, let's have a look at the top stories once again. Nepal's PM meets Indian and Chinese ambassadors separately. Talks focus on strengthening bilateral ties, cooperation and mutual interests. Nepal's foreign minister says government to review treaties and agreements as needed, adds Nepal's national interests to be kept at the center. Nepal's finance minister holds talks with representatives of 20 multinational companies, says partnership between government and private sector should be further strengthened. Community Forest Day being marked today, stress laid on promoting community forest as basis of green economy, employment and income generation. At least 26 killed after 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit Colombia. Tremors also felt across neighboring Venezuela, Ecuador and Panama. And Sandeep Lamichhane replaces Rohit Paudel as Nepal's ODI captain to lead Nepal in the upcoming ACC Premier Cup. That is all for the moment. Do join us through our social media and visit us at www.nepaltelevision.com for more information and news. I am Ipilagi Singh Lama. Thank you for watching. Good night.